All right, good evening. Welcome to Air Conservation Commission. It is May 12, 2016. Let's begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right. Good evening. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I don't think so. We've got something to talk about, but it'll come up in context.
Okay. Should we add time for it, or?
Nah.
All right. I would accept a motion to approve the agenda as created.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do we have meeting minutes in our 3 minutes? Does anyone have any changes to the meeting minutes from last week?
Just one
Go ahead.
for me. Page 4, under committee updates, the third bullet where you have the Boy Scout kiosk, you have Boy Scout one word lowercase.
It's just, we're excluded from the Boy Scouts.
I would ask that.
Oh, is that where we're going?
The 2 words
secret
capitalized.
information.
Is that correct? Would that be more appropriate? 2 words capitalized, Boy Scout?
Yikes.
Man, ruthless. Crack the whip first thing.
You want me to change that other thing that,
No. I sent an email with a comment on the minutes.
yeah, that the Mountain Laurel, that they had not requested trash pickup. It was,
Right, I had brought it up separately.
yeah. I'll amend that.
I did see there was an email about Nonquacious Brook, that the property was Mr. Slarsky's.
Yep. And I spoke with him, and I got the Board of Health process rolling all together at the same time, and the town has an easement over the particular portion of Mr. Swarsky's land. So not only does he not mind having us there, we have an easement to be there anyway.
That's wonderful news.
Is he a detective? Is that the
No,
same?
he's a former selectman who's involved with the fire department now.
He was also a detective.
I guess I don't know.
Well, there was one who was driving through Stratton Hill the other day looking for mischief. Apparently there's been some overturned off-road vehicles up there.
Huh. Those are shenanigans.
Wow.
They're racing around the
Yeah.
Looks like Elizabeth Estates is all squared away.
I suppose.
Says from Mr. Bellino's perspective, does the zoning board have an opinion?
I don't think I checked with zoning.
Okay, I think that was in my email, because if it isn't where it was planned, then the only question is, was it under any kind of agreement through zoning to have it located where it was located?
Oh, wait. You're talking about the building that you pointed out to me up...
On Elizabeth Estates.
Yeah. I did a drive-by, and that's all fine. There's a state superseding order, and they actually pulled the house back further away from the wetland than it was originally approved to be.
Well, I have no disagreement about whether it's better or worse. It was just that it wasn't our order, and just want to make sure that the state was okay with the fact that they changed it. Did they notify the state? I'm assuming they didn't. And then the only other question was, from a zoning perspective, did they go back to zoning board of appeals? Because if the whole thing was under zoning, then its locations were fixed.
Yeah, I did not check with zoning, so I'll just note that and see if they care.
Because they sit next to you.
Conveniently.
All right, other than the egregious mistake with Boy Scout, is there any other changes?
Egregious. Wow.
High standards around here. Brutal.
All right, I would accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes as heavily marked.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any extensions?
No, but I would believe it. Well, why don't we meander right into our Eagle Scout, spelled 2 words, discussion, 7:15, Robert Hood.
Both capitalized, I'll point
Both
out.
capitalized, right?
Well.
Don't worry, we're fairly tame. All the punishment went to Jess. Have a seat. Do you go by Robert, Rob, or Bob?
Robert.
Hey, Robert. So tell us about your project.
So I'm looking for an Eagle Scout project that can that can be done for multiple people.
Okay.
It's a pretty big project. It's like looking for something on conservation land, either like perhaps building a bridge over like the river, or perhaps putting up more trail signs for the trails that are like lesser used or aren't very clear.
Sure.
Or I was also wondering if there was any plan or desire to do anything with the sheds on the conservation plan.
Do you mean up on, up off Oak Ridge?
Yeah.
Well, those are all excellent questions and thoughts. So we actually did recently talk about a bridge in Pine Meadow. So are you familiar with Pine Meadow Pond, that area?
Yeah.
So if you come down and you walk all the way around to the left, down in behind the old landfill, and then you cross over the wooden bridge for the landfill area, and then there's a stream.
Yeah.
And we had talked about a bridge there because the rocks can be slippery, and you know, it might make it more accessible to folks if they had a bridge there. We had talked about that. Now the only trick of it is, obviously we'd have to work very carefully with you to design the bridge, and there'd be a lot of material. Do you have a budget or a support for that kind of thing? So you're doing great.
I'll interject just this. The scout has to set what he anticipates a budget to be, has
Sure.
to do fundraising himself,
Okay.
and can cover all the costs and also take material donations.
Okay. Okay. So I love the bridge idea.
I do too.
And we have one really important spot where it might be very helpful. So the only question would be how to get design and how to get materials. That's a lot to take on. So that one has me concerned just because we don't have an easy situation. But certainly worth thinking about. How about from a trail marking perspective? Do we have anything significant enough? I know
Well,
you guys have done a
since-
bang-up job, so.
Since we already have the kiosks now at 3 locations, soon to be 4, or, yeah. I don't think there's really, I guess, a need for an additional kiosk, which would be kind of a substantial type thing. And then, I guess it's open for discussion as to whether there's a need for signage interior to the parcel for trails. Those, if you've been on those trails, you probably noticed that some of the signs are sort of just laminated paper.
Yeah.
You know, those tend to need replacing frequently anyways, and so putting a lot of effort and resources into those internal signs, I don't know, I guess I see less of a need, I guess. You know,
Sure.
the trail bridge is certainly something that
Yeah.
I think is a definite need that would benefit a lot of people, get a lot of use, that would have a definite
And to be
public
clear,
benefit.
you know, in speaking of donations, you know, we've got enough funding to donate a certain portion to that, you know, the project. And the fiscal year rolling over shortly, you know, that'll reset again. And I believe the latest budget report is sitting in front of you with a total funds expended for the fiscal year. And I think it's something like 40% or 60% of the year's funding is spent, with 6 weeks left in the fiscal year.
Another alternative for materials would be to maybe approach Calvin Moore, who owns Moore Lumber, and ask for some donation. Maybe they have lumber that, they can donate. And there are, I think, many people on Oak Ridge who have projects. I'd be willing to donate some wood. We got lots of wood in the backyard that we can donate.
No, I think from a materials perspective, there are a lot of places to go, and certainly that's an opportunity. I guess my greatest concern is about the engineering of the bridge.
Yeah.
Design.
I just don't have any feel. We're not trying to take your project over here, but just from an overall perspective, if you were going to do a bridge, obviously if people were going to walk over it, an engineer would have to put that together. So that's a concern I have.
Was there, what happened, we have the capital B, capital S Boy Scout Bridge coming out of Long Pond.
Right, but that's sitting entirely on the concrete of the dam,
Right, okay.
except for a very short span.
So wondering, would this be something maybe you could also talk to DPW?
Well, I was thinking you could talk to GPR,
Yeah.
but that's not really sure what the cutoff is on an Eagle Scout project. That's that's really tying into a pretty big project.
So just to kind of give perspective, Robert's cousin got his Eagle last year, and his project was actually building a dog, kind of like a dog pound for the police officer in Chelmsford. They had to grade the entire land, they had to build the entire shed. He did all the fundraising, the planning. He worked with all the various committees and boards in town and departments to make sure everything was signed off and approved within the town, and that's what the scouts are expected to do.
Wow.
So I guess, since I'll admit my son's a little quiet and shy, if there is I guess he would like, from us talking, he would like to do the bridge, and at least pursue that. He can put a little bit of legwork into that and come back, in the short amount of time with maybe some ideas and see, if we can kind of figure out a path forward if that's desired.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I think there are probably kind of designs of bridges that have already been done available. I mean, you can get anything online, but I think if you haven't done so already, you could probably find some plans for bridges that have already been constructed that would probably be similar to maybe what you have in mind and would serve kind of for the purposes that I think we have in mind. So while we definitely want a structure that's going to be safe first and foremost, but also going to last as well, I think maybe that obstacle is not as onerous, perhaps, as starting from scratch. I don't think you would have to start from scratch, I guess is my point on that.
Mr. Moore, do you have a comment? Certainly.
18 years old comes very, very quick. I'll have 2 engineers from GPR in about 10 minutes. And I'm talking.
Well, I was actually stalling for time, but no, I was.
If that's needed to keep it going.
Well, I think that's a great plan, and that was why I suggested GPR, because they're right next door in the building across the way. So I tell you what. So we've a lot of good ideas here. Number one, we're all on board with a bridge project. I think it's a great idea. We have a place for it. I'd recommend that you go down and take some photographs of the area, take some measurements, and then apply your skills online to see if you can find maybe a bridge that somebody has drawn that you could take a look at. We could work with a local engineering firm to see if they'd be willing to give you a hand. Certainly we can give a recommendation that this is for the conservation property. We can help do introductions. And then you can see if they can at least sign off on it, maybe put some Massachusetts details to it. And then after that, certainly we could give recommendations to local businesses like Moore Lumber to see if they had a way to help you with cost or donation of project materials. So thank you for approaching us. I think it's a great idea. And
What's your deadline or time frame?
When do you turn 18?
He's got time, but like Calvin said, it comes really fast.
You gotta go through the whole approval process, and then it's gonna get approved afterwards, and that's all gonna be done before day 18.
Right.
And that,
Yes.
I mean, it's like, come on most of these guys.
And this is something that we would have to go through some permitting process as well, once he has a design.
No, that's true.
Because it, by definition, crosses one of our regulatory features, so.
May I ask how big the bridge is? How big is the bridge?
In the particular location, so what we were just referring to is on Pine Meadow Pond, come down toward the pond around the left, and you have that area where you cross over the rocks.
Yeah.
And at different times of year, the water is higher or lower. Sometimes it's pretty wet and slippery in there.
I just happened to walk those rocks last night.
There you go.
So
And-
it's not that big of a structure.
It's not that big of a span.
Yeah.
The only other thing that we did think about, though, and this is crucial to the discussion, is that you remember when the Beaver Dam broke in 2007, it actually washed out Oak Ridge. Never mind a bridge over the exact area where the Beaver Dam is located. So that's another consideration, is making sure that the span is significant. So, but if Cal Goldsmith was here, I bet he would tell you that coming to him with any kind of material like that, he would find exciting and fun. Cal?
Exciting and fun, I hear. It's all about exciting and fun.
And
When do you
accommodate.
turn 18?
4 years.
In 4 years?
Yeah.
Well, then this is a great project, and certainly, rising to the top to take something like this on. Robert was just talking to us about an Eagle Scout project that he's interested in, and we were discussing the things that he might have to do to get a bridge design together.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of we had a lot of good ideas tossed around. He would like to do a bridge. We talked about Pine Meadow Pond, where the rocks are, as you go around all the way to the left. And we were going through the different steps. He might locate one online that he could look at, one of Takashi's ideas. We said maybe he could bring it to a local engineering firm to provide some details for attachment, etc. And then he could work from there to get materials. So,
We'll be happy to help if we can.
well, that is wonderful. So, do you feel like you have an idea where you want to head?
Yeah.
Great. So, if you'd like, look at that. Thank you very much. If you'd like, make another appointment with us. We'd be happy to see you every 2 weeks when we meet, or if you want to keep up on details, or every month, whatever works best. And we can work with you to make sure that things are going along in a direction, and if you have any questions, we're always here to help. So, anything else we can do for you?
No.
Great, great. It's a pretty great project you're taking on, so look forward to seeing it come together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You picked the right night.
Yes, you did.
That's the night.
Okay. 7:20, we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 3 Mountain Laurel Lane. Why is this, why can't I think where Mountain Laurel Lane is?
Oh, Sandy Pond 3.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the first one on the right, just after you cross the turtle culvert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that house is pretty new. Okay. Have you had a chance to pop by?
I did, and so did what? You two? Did you guys go?
Us 3, yeah.
3, yeah. And we took care of the showing erosion control barrier, and they left the rest in. So they just clipped, snipped, and ripped.
They did that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know actually. I just rhymed.
So we're content with the way the property is left?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, then I would entertain a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for DEP file number 100-0220.
Partial.
Partial certificate of compliance. In our box.
Yeah, it's on the flip page.
Yeah, there we go.
I still moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for getting out there. All right, we have a 7:25 public hearing for a determination of applicability for 138 Littleton Road, 2-inch sewer line from a private residence to town sewer. Thank you.
And the DOA is under the RDA.
Okay, so I wasn't here to hear the actual application.
Right, and George and Jess and Bonnie made that site visit?
And me.
Oh.
And
Oh.
And during the visit, we determined that the work was in the road. Is Mr. Ruthier here tonight for representation? Okay. We determined at the time that the drawing showed that the entire project involved cutting up Route 2A. The entire project. And we said, do you think you can get permission for that? And so I would assume the answer is no, but we were hoping to get some feedback. If the work is off the road where the work is supposed to happen, then it's almost entirely in the buffer or in the resource. And so we said that he needed to come to us with a notice of intent. Did he reach out to you after that?
I have not heard anything other than Jess's email letting me know how it went.
Okay. Am I misstating or misunderstanding what happened?
That's what I believe I said. It had to be an NOI submission
Yeah.
and needed to be reflagged. Yeah.
So, I'm disappointed Mr. Ruthier isn't here. If only so we could talk about it. I don't know if he had any further dealings with Mr. Roper or any of the other individuals, but literally as drawn, the easement and the work was entirely in the new pavement on Route 2A, entirely. So,
I think when we were at the sidewalk, I think we sort of gave him to understand that he didn't need to come, he needed to do an NOI.
sure.
We just needed to do this to close out the public meeting.
Yeah, I don't think he had a plan. Did he have a plan when you guys met?
Only the one.
Yeah, not the one that was submitted that morning.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Right.
That, it turns out that wasn't the plan. But even if it was the plan. Okay, so, this is for signatures?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wasn't here for the initial public hearing, but I was for the visit. I can say that based on our site visit, the plan that was discussed and provided during the site visit and the work that we were able to review, it is impossible for us to say that this determination of applicability, that this would be a negative determination. So I would entertain a motion to find that we have a positive determination of applicability for the property. I don't know if this is the actual property location. For the property at 138 Littleton Road.
So moved. Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. These forms are so much easier online. No, seriously, where's the positive box?
It's before the negative.
You would think so, right? But negative is in big letters and positive is in small letters.
That's true. Positive is not in bold.
It's not in bold. So box 1 says the area described in the reference plan is an area subject to protection under the Act. Removing, filling, dredging, or altering the area requires the filing of notice of intent. The boundaries of resource area listed below are not confirmed by this determination. 2B. I don't know if you keep checking. Yep, check all applicable. Number 3, work described a reference plan or document within an area subject to protection of the Act. Work described is within the buffer zone. work and/or area described or referenced plans and documents are subject to review and approval by Conservation Commission. Okay. I believe that's your copy, so I'll pass that back. If I don't lose it, along with a really cool binder clip. All right, we're pretty much running on track. Let's open our 7:30 public hearing, notice of intent for Calco LLC, eastern terminus of Rosewood, Rosewood Ave extension for the purpose of accessing a yet-to-be-built solar array. Do we have a DEP file number, sir?
We do not yet.
Excellent.
Would you like checking set up over there?
Nope, there's just fine, thank you, though. Actually, I'm not even sure where the...
Yeah, that was a good question. We
You
could
still
go knock on
there?
we could go knock on the door and see if we've got a visitor in there tonight.
TV. I'll fuck off.
Actually, take a... That's actually no indication. It's a funny story. There we go. We sat here one night for 4 hours, and we had a really long meeting, and we got up, and we all stretched our legs, and the door opened, and a young man stepped out of there. He'd been in there the entire time. Here's the cool part. None of us saw him go in.
You guys are dedicated to the job at hand, that's all I can say.
The real question is there a fridge in there? That's the actual question.
Is there beer in the fridge?
Well, that's...
For the record, my name is Cal Goldsmith from Goldsmith Preston Ringwall, right here and there. And the site we're talking about is at the end of Rosewood Ave, just past the intersection with Mark Street. Rosewood Ave dead ends right at this point. Beyond that, there's an existing gravel cart path going over to this upland area, which then goes up under the power lines and leads to land on the other side. The purpose of this project is, if well, you may or may not be aware of it, we did a single lot subdivision with the planning board. Yes, we do right there. We got approved, and our purpose was to establish frontage enough to make a legal building lot. And it was done as a single building lot, and it was, to the extent that we're bound by this anyways, it was done as a non-residential building lot. And the only reason we did that was so that this lot could be joined with land on the other side that you've already looked at for the solar arrays. So that frontage for that land over there is right here, to create that one large legal building lot. So we're proposing, we've made this proposition to the planning board and got approval on it already. So this frontage does now exist, and this is a legal building lot. And what we're proposing tonight to you is to take the existing condition we've got here with this existing cart path and a beaver dam located right there, which then creates a large pond upstream of this. Now normally, there's always been a small pond, smaller pond upstream of here, and there's a restriction, I think, about in this area that creates this pond. And to the best of our knowledge, that restriction has not changed recently. We've got no reason to think that it has. But the restriction for the beaver dam right here has flooded this area and has added depth to the pond over in this area because it's buried this restriction. It's also buried, I think, 5 sewer manholes that are in this area, some up to 3 feet deep, 3 feet underwater. So that, of course, is a problem because sewer manholes are not watertight. They're taking drainage constantly, which is then being pumped through your sewer system and counts for the capacity of that sewer system. So that kind of infiltration you really don't want to have, and you should really try to eliminate that. But be that as it may, for us to rebuild this driveway coming across here, the beaver dam has obscured the culvert, the existing culvert under this driveway, and pretty much is causing flooding across here and around the end of it. There is no sign of beaver activity in recent years. The dam is starting to deteriorate. We had I guess the DPW has a beaver consultant that looked at this site and said he saw no evidence because they were talking about trapping. They said we don't need to, there's no beaver activity in this site. So this beaver dam, it exists, but it's not being used as a habitat for beavers behind it. So when we go to construct a 16-foot gravel driveway across this stream, this perennial stream, and that runs in through here, we'll have to remove the beaver dam. When we remove the beaver dam, it's going to cause some of this land behind here to drain. As you can see right now, the water actually goes up onto a couple of lots here and then right close to the back of several more. It creates a much larger pond than what has traditionally been there. And we've got pictures we can show you as to different stages of this area over the years so you can see how it's evolved. And it's pretty much seems like it's constantly evolving. So the situation we're in now is to replace this driveway and with culverts underneath it sufficient to allow proper flow through here without causing the driveway to overtop. So this is a mapped, there is a floodplain designation in this area, but there's no elevation associated with it. And that happens frequently when they have, this is an unnamed tributary to James Brook. James Brook has elevations all along it, but they didn't bring it this far upstream because it's a smaller tributary. But by looking at other tributaries to James Brook that have been mapped and going about 1,000 feet upstream on similar topography as what we've got here, they have a map, they have a elevation there that's about, is it 332?
It's 230.
232.
Well, 230. 226 down low.
Yeah, 226 at the confluence. It gets up to about 232, 1,000 feet upstream. We're about 1,000 feet upstream. Similar characteristics, similar slopes to the stream channels, sort of similar sizes. So based on that and stream stats and some other information that Kyle will be happy to walk you through, because he's the guy that knows more about it than I do. We established a floodplain elevation at this site. Now that's only significant really in that it allows us to set the elevation of the roadway to stay above the floodplain, and it also allows us to calculate what the compensatory flood storage needs to be. So we think we've done a reasonably good job of that. We have not done a hydraulic study of the entire basin. That would be a huge project, much more than we could undertake. But we think we've arrived at an elevation that's conservative and that allows us to provide the adequate compensatory flood storage. So we're not adversely affected with flood storage by the filling of this roadway. And bear in mind, what we're talking about here is replacing road that has washed away to a large extent. And at the same time, we're going to be putting a wider driveway, so we've got to widen the top of the embankment a little bit. And that's where really the flood storage comes into effect. So the biggest question we had was, when we replace this, what are we going to do for culverts? And Kyle will walk you through the design itself, what we've actually got for culverts. We've got 3 36-inch culverts buried in midline to create a stream bed effect through the culverts themselves. We've sized them so they should be adequate for any flow coming through here without causing overtopping of the roadway. In the event that we had a 1,000-year storm and the roadway overtops for a couple of hours, a few inches deep, doesn't really matter because there's nobody living up there. There's no real need to get up there on an emergency basis. There's also access to the solar site from the other end on the rail trail on an emergency basis. So it's not critical infrastructure like a road or a driveway to housing would be, where you have a need to get there and to be able to do it. So we think we've made good judgment as far as where the elevation should be for the roadway itself. Now the elevation of the culvert is also something that we put some considerable thought into. When we first talked about doing this with the neighbors at some of the planning board hearings, we had neighbors that were saying to us, we really like the pond, we want to keep it high. We had other neighbors saying, it's flooding my backyard, I've got a shed that's underwater, I'd really rather not. And actually, we didn't talk to this guy, we talked to this guy. So we're assuming the guy with the shed underwater doesn't like it, but he didn't actually tell us that. But this person here definitely said, I'd rather not have it. And the owner has expressed to us that there are other people that are concerned about how far the water comes up in the backyard. But then there are people that said in the meeting, we really like having a pond there, we like being able to kayak in this whole area. So there's some people like it, some people that don't. What became very clear to us as we got into the design process is we're not in the business of building a dam here. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to replace a culvert, enlarge it to provide additional capacity, and replace the access driveway to get across to the upland. But we're not in the business of trying to set a dam elevation, build it up higher than it normally would be. So we've got it so that the culvert comes out essentially in line with the stream bed on this side. On this side, you'll see some contouring in here. There's actually kind of a deep pool right in front of where the beaver dam is here. And that pool is going to stay there. We're not talking about doing anything different with what's there. But it gives us a little bit of flexibility as to where to set those culverts a little bit. So it gave us some thinking to do, is to figure out where we thought we should set those culverts at. The elevation we've arrived at, if we've got a 332 floodplain, we're at about 329. So, and the water level right now is at 333.4. 230. Sorry, I keep saying that. 233.4.
That's what you're at today?
Well, that's what we had when we surveyed you.
Sure.
So we're talking about lowering the water table 4.3 feet in the area immediately upstream of the beaver dam. Because basically we're going to get rid of the beaver dam. We're going to allow this to revert back to what it was for years and years, which is a stream channel through here with some ponding here. There'll probably be some other ponding upstream in different pools. And then, of course, the bigger pond here will be basically now controlled by this barrier that exists rather than by the beaver dam over here. So I'm sure that'll stay in the configuration it's been in for years, and we can show you that. But we decided we're not beavers, we're not building a dam. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to replace the driveway and put the culverts in at a reasonable elevation. We don't know what the existing culvert is because it's buried. We haven't seen any sign of it. It may actually be deeper than what we're proposing. It's entirely possible. We'll find it when we dig it out, and it may also be that it's collapsed. It was corrugated metal pipe, but in talking to neighbors, I don't think it's collapsed. I think it's buried, but we'll see when we get into construction. So the project we're proposing to you tonight is just that, is to build that roadway across the stream bed, and we put culverts in that mimic a stream bed so that wildlife can get through it, and it's big enough, and it's got gravel in the bottom of it to allow wildlife free passage back and forth through here, allow the stream to pass, and allow this pond here to take whatever form it traditionally has been had.
Cal, you mentioned that there are two impediments. The first one is, of course, this beaver dam that we're talking about here. This commission visited that beaver dam in 2013 with Mike Callahan. Our intention at that time was to determine what it would take to put a deceiver in to drop the pond to allow for the DPW to access the manhole structures that are buried, that are underwater now.
Right.
But you mentioned that there's another beaver dam
Well, no,
another.
There's another. It's in an area here, and actually, let me show you. This is going to be our punchline. I'll get to it now. If you look at historical pictures, so this is here's the end of Rosewood. This is the driveway we're talking about. This is the area we're talking about right here. You can see there's a stream channel. There's some ponding up here. There's a little bit of ponding here. The stream goes in through this way. What I'm talking about is this right here.
I gotcha.
And that's the pond that, and again, you can see it a little bit here. That's a 2010 picture. It's a 2015 picture. You can see the pond there. It's a 2013 picture. Again, you can see the pond there. But you can see how it changes from year to year to year.
Are we assuming that the 2010 picture, that's veg over the water, or is that?
No, I'm assuming 2010 picture that this looks to me, and I don't know for sure, but comparing it to other pictures, it looks to me like this was a very low water, or maybe even There'd been a dam there that was
Dam blew.
removed and drained it.
Yeah.
There was
a,
one year, it was a real drought,
Could be that
and
too.
there
yeah.
have been some tampering with the beaver dam too.
Somebody dug the dam
This is
up.
showing just as a stream through here, and then that's the narrowing point that I'm talking about right there, which
Gotcha.
you can see it right there. So I have no knowledge of this. We don't know what's there. We're not proposing to do anything with it. To all intents and purposes, my guess is that that'll stay the way it is, and that this pond will assume a similar thing to its 2013 and 15 was.
I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that we were very familiar with the area and
Okay,
that
good.
our discussions in the past, which were to assist the DPW with locating the manhole structures. And so a part of our review will go through DPW
Yep.
for that purpose as
We actually have a
well.
letter for you from DPW.
I thought you might. And also then to work with the town's engineer to figure out, is this going to allow him to see what he's trying to see?
I think it will, and I think that the DPW, we've been in touch with Mark when we discussed it with him, and actually this is an old drawing, I didn't mention, this is a 1969 drawing that shows our area is right here, and shows the roadway over. You can see where the restriction is right there that's creating this pond. So at that point, they had labeled that. But yeah, we actually did not include any kind of beaver deceiver on our plans, but it may be something that Mark would want to have done. And if that's the case, we do that. And there's different versions of it, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'll let Kyle talk to that and to the actual design. But I'm not sure it would be a pipe necessarily. I'm not sure it wouldn't be more of a big fenced area around the culverts themselves.
Sure.
So I'm going to let Kyle talk a little bit more about floodplain work that he did, and then take you through the design.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Cal.
Can you also just clarify when you say that the restriction in that one area, what's the nature of that restriction?
We don't know, to tell you the truth. I mean, I think it's higher ground. It actually looks like, and I'm sure some of the neighbors know a lot more about it than I do, but it looks like this was a little promontory coming across, and like maybe they used to be able to walk across it. It kind of looks like that in some of the older pictures. There's vegetation across it. But right there, it seems like that's the low point that it flows through. Because in this case, you can see there's vegetation, there's existing ground. There's clearly a pathway through for the water there, hydraulic connection through here, and it's being held back in this area.
It could have even been a man-made dam in that area to allow for ice harvesting or
Sure.
something to
And
that
I know they
effect.
used to do that, they did about that, so it might just be infrastructure along, put in a long time ago. So this is Kyle Burchard from our, he's the expert on it.
So yeah, hi, nice to see everyone this evening. The memorandum that Mark Wessel issued today, I don't know if you received it or not.
Have it here.
You have it there, okay.
Do we all have one?
No.
Excellent. I have one. Go on.
In which he's just kind of outlining that, maybe we should read this. At the request of the project design engineer Goldsmith Press, and meanwhile reviewed the proposed culvert design for Rosewood Avenue Extension. This plan was submitted to the Air Conservation Commission for the NOI dated May 2016. I previously reviewed the site plan for the planning board. It should be noted that I did not perform a detailed hydrological evaluation of the project. As we've discussed, there is an existing sewer easement shown on the plan. The sewer upstream of this location is currently underwater due to the beaver dam created pond. So we're all familiar with where this is approximately. This plan is actually from the original construction set that built the sewer line back in 1969. And as Cal said, this is the Rosewood Avenue extension point, and it goes upstream and then farther on up towards the hospital. Sewer upstream of this location is currently underwater due to the beaver dam created pond. When the sewer was installed, there was a smaller pond and a brook running through the area from the rail crossing culvert. So the rail trail would be right here. sewer-oriented. Rail crossing culvert to Groton School Road / James Brook. The sewer is a 16-inch AC interceptor from the Sugar Valley Hospital. The ability to access and maintain the sewer is critical to the operation of the hospital. On April 21st, the Ayer DPW located manholes upstream of the proposed extension. There are 5 manholes that are inaccessible due to the extensive beaver pond ranging from 1 inch to 36 inches underwater. Based on our measurements and the GPR survey, the elevation of the lowest manhole is 230.86 feet. The proposed roadway culvert design would lower the elevation level of the pond to a normal level of 229.0 feet, which would lower the pond level to allow access to the sewer manhole structures. In addition, this level would still provide a significant sized pond for wildlife. The alternative to lowering the level is to raise the access easement and manholes that are underwater. This would require temporarily draining the beaver pond, adding fill on the easement from Doug Road and between manholes, and raising each manhole structure. This would require approximately 4,000 cubic yards of fill, and it would essentially create dikes in the existing beaver pond. This would be costly and could increase the impact on the wetland resources and flood protection. Based on the impacts of the beaver pond on the DPW's ability to maintain the sewer and respond to a potential emergency, this proposed culvert design is a cost-effective solution to the issues related to the sewer. So, a couple things about this. As Cal mentioned, there's a FEMA floodplain running through here that's been mapped in detail and studied up to James Brook. It stops approximately at the convergence of the stream channel that comes through our proposed extension. And where they join up, there's about a floodplain elevation of approximately 226. Does everyone have a copy of the NOI?
Yes.
Towards the back of the NOI, there's a hydraulic narrative that runs through several pieces of information, and they're basically saying that
The hydraulic narrative is a separate document.
Thank you.
So, if you had read through that, what you'd find is basically that coming upstream of this convergence point, there's a similar configuration of the grade of the watersheds that are coming there. However, the watershed of James Brook is about 2,000 acres. The watershed coming through this unnamed tributary is about 400 acres. The slope of the land, the configuration of the channel valley, it's approximately the same, reaching up to and just past our site. It's very similar. This kind of Y's out here, a very similar configuration. So as we come up that distance and we reach to this point, which is about 1,000 feet upstream, which is where we are approximately at our proposed crossing, that map FEMA flood elevation is at about 232. So as we come up to our crossing, we made the conservative estimate that the elevation would be approximately 232 as well. In fact, that's a very conservative estimate, depending on how you're looking at it. It could be lower. It could be that the flood elevation through this area is lower due to the fact that there's so much less of a watershed coming through here. So we've made that conservative assumption so that we would have some basis for evaluating how this culvert will function. So then we look at the capacity of this culvert to pass the storm that's going through it. So we look at what the 400-acre watershed is, and we pull the USGS stream stats basin information that tells us what the flows are expected to be there. And in fact, this culvert has 3 times the capacity of what that 100-year storm says in stream stats. So it should be able to pass the 100-year storm, statistically, and larger storms without overtopping this road. But by the time that happens, the backwater effect from whatever's happening down at this convergence is probably going to make that a very gentle passing over of the road. It's probably the elevations of the water on both sides of this driveway would easily be right at the same elevation. There would be some turbulence as the water went over the road and so on, but it would be a while before that culvert would be, reaching its capacity, far in excess of the 100-year storm. So, so from that, deduction where we estimate that the flood elevation is at 232, we know that we're passing at least a 100-year storm. So hydraulically, this is functioning properly. The culvert, we did some survey down in the stream channel to establish where the stream channel was. Stream channel is somewhere, it differs. Right in front of the beaver dam, there's a little bit of a dip. There's a pool. And then it, past the beaver dam, it follows kind of a natural smooth grade of the stream channel. So we have placed the culvert essentially at that downstream bed, but in accordance with the gravel, unpaved road, BMP manual from Mass DEP, we wanted to find a way to have a natural substrate bottom for whatever creatures might be there. Now, we don't anticipate that this stream channel is going to be full and passing fish over top of this culvert, but who knows? Maybe in the future that'll happen for some reason or another. But we want to keep a natural bottom just because that environmentally is a better way to go. So we have our 3 36-inch culverts. That are positioned in line. The best that we can ascertain from the survey information we have is to stay in line with the stream channel. And it will then pass the water through. Now, these are going to be 36-inch round culverts. They're going to have the bottom half of them capped so that the natural substrate, stream bottom substrate, will stay in place. So the capacities I was talking about earlier, passing at least 3 times the 100-year storm event, is based on those 3 arches, those half of a 36-inch diameter culvert. So, and that's basically the design of, that's how this was established. Okay, that's how we arrived at setting that invert at 229.
Can I ask maybe it's, sorry if it's a
I'm going
not so
kind of
intelligent
fast.
question,
That's okay.
but why not a larger culvert?
A single larger
A single
culvert?
larger culvert, because I'm imagining if you have smaller culverts,
Capacity, basically.
Okay.
And if we do a larger culvert, we're gonna have to be filling more in the floodplain, which is kind of the next step of the design exercise. But basically, it's about, larger culverts, we're not gonna be able to get cover on top of those pipes unless we build up that road that farther.
mhm.
So it would have
Now-
more of an impact.
That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to do a minimalist impact with maximum capacity.
Okay.
Because we're not trying to pond this, we're trying to allow it to pass through. We understand that beaver activity has been changing this area for many years. We don't know what they're planning to do. We know there's a beaver cycle, and it goes in about 10 years, so I don't know how many years into this current lull we may be, where they've kind of exhausted their food supply and have to wait for it to replenish. But we're trying to make things work hydraulically, and so that this project can also happen.
Takashi, you had a question?
Yeah, so thank you for the explanation and the analysis. I appreciate that, and I tend to, like most of it, I guess the problem I have, and this follows Bonnie's question, with the culvert itself, does this meet the stream crossing standards to have a 3-pipe culvert?
Stream crossing standards?
Yeah.
What other standard is
The
it?
stream crossing standards were incorporated into the wetlands regulations, the regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act as of 2014, I think. And unless I'm missing something, I think as Bonnie suggested, I think you have to build a single span that's 1.2 times the width of the bank, so that you're not in the resource. You still do all the natural substrate and everything, but it has to have an openness ratio depending on the width of the crossing.
Yeah. As Cal was saying before, we're not trying to create a dam, we're also not trying to create a stream. Now, the stream valley as it is today really only comes up to the Beaver Dam. So downstream of that, sure, but we're allowing passage into that. It is also a matter of impact. Do you want to have more impact, raise the road up, have the grades tie out farther?
I think it's a matter of what is now required. That's my question. So,
Don't think it applies.
can you explain why not?
Because the stream ends at where we're proposing to cross, where we take down the Beaver Dam to reconstruct the driveway crossing and the culvert that was there. Now, we would love to put back the culvert that was initially installed there, but we have no record. There are no design plans. There are design plans showing culvert and with the label. Well, there's nothing there that tells us what was the size of this culvert, what were the materials of this culvert, although it's suspected it was a corrugated metal pipe. We don't know what it was. So all we do know is that it was not intended to be a constriction or a stream channel per se. It's passing water. It's a culvert.
That's one thing I want to get clarification on.
Yeah, I think,
No, I would agree. So one of the benefits of the photographs that you've been able to provide is that it clearly shows that if there's a culvert there, that there's always been at least one leg of the stream that passed through that area off the bottom of Rosewood. So if it's a stream, it's a stream.
Okay. I don't know how that definition would change over time, since it's been dammed up as a beaver. Maybe we look into that a little bit further and find out. Has a beaver dam changed classification?
I don't believe so, only in that, in general, excuse me, the definition of the stream bed would be based on the fact that it was an area where water could pass through. If the beaver stopped water from passing through there, it doesn't mean it's not a stream anymore, it just means it's not an operating stream because the beaver stopped it. But it's still a stream. It will be a discussion to go forward on. We look forward to your research on it.
What are you looking for me to find?
yeah, we'll look at that and see if there is any
The place where we would start is that it's a stream, so we'll have to work backwards from there. So what do you see on the USGS?
Well, I see the streamline.
USGS too is it's based upon.
I guess, so what I'm getting at is, maybe through you or through a Mass DEP consultation with them, we get just clarification on whether the stream crossing standard does apply in this case, or if it doesn't, then.
We'll look at that and see what we can figure out. I
Yeah,
think
because-
even if it does, we'll still endeavor to keep the roadway crossing at the same elevation that we're at and adjust whatever we have to do in there so that we can keep that elevation.
No,
the same.
I think the elevation analysis, I think you've done a thorough job with the floodplain and all that. So my only issue is whether the actual culvert itself, if that design is something that we could even permit. So that's really what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Are we in agreement that this is the spot? I
Yeah,
believe that's Rosewood. Unfortunately, it's not marked, but I believe that's Rosewood.
I think so, yeah.
Because this is the, so as I look at the provided,
Yeah, my eyes aren't that good.
no.
That's right.
And mine are going crazy because of allergies. So I believe this is the area that we're talking
Yes,
about right
that's
here.
correct. That's right.
And you are crossing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah,
All right.
that's a question.
That's correct.
I guess the long and the short of it is that there's two parts to this. The first part is please continue with your presentation. We're very familiar with the area. We're bringing up a lot of different points as we go through. Obviously, the second step of our process is to have a site walk together to look at it, where you would stake out the area as best as possible. Obviously, it's wet. Stake out the area as best as possible for review and discussion in the field. And then the second part would be, so that we're all on the same page, I would be reaching out to Mark Wetzel and the town engineer. So far, since we've been here, we've had one dam that was before us, and it was actually engineered by the town. We've never had a culvert crossing like this that came before us. None of us are capable of, although I appreciate Kyle's expertise, none of us are capable of reviewing any standards of that nature. So we'd be submitting that to the DPW, asking if the town engineer would be the right person to review those, et cetera. But also to work with Mark because as early as 2013, we've been talking about dropping the water level, the amount that you're talking about, dropping the water level to make the manholes accessible. So that's a big part of it. And from what we're talking about, based upon the photos are hugely helpful. We could have gone and put a beaver deceiver in the dam that you're talking about crossing and had zero effect on the area where the manhole covers are because they're upstream of the second impediment, if you will. So if there's another impediment in that area, the water in the area where Mark is most interested in seeing the manhole covers may not be affected at all.
I know that we have manholes in that area.
Where?
Thought we had.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
manhole here, and there's a manhole here.
Right, I think it's outside of that pond area proper.
Well,
It's past it.
the
But
discussion
what's
is
happening is the ponding is exceeding the limits of what's shown on the 69 map.
exactly. And so,
We presume that perhaps whatever this constriction may be is being superseded by the beaver dam.
well, so the question is, what happens when the beaver dam, if the beaver dam, so whether this project went forward or the beaver deceiver had been installed ahead of time, which one of those would have had an effect? Would either have had an effect on, beyond that constriction, the upland area? So,
I don't think we'll be able to answer that question.
I don't think any of us are gonna answer it until something happens.
Okay.
So, anyway, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. We understand that that's something the town is very interested in, and we've been working with them, or trying to work with them on that for a couple of years now, so.
And you, as you saw in the letter, I think Mark is pleased that the approach we're trying to take is probably the most cost-effective for him.
No, Mark definitely needs this to happen, so.
Okay. Another aspect of this project as we propose these fills and this crossing is that we are impacting wetlands. And we're proposing a replication. We're also technically, based on what we established as this assumed floodplain, best that we can, we are filling in that floodplain. So we propose to have compensatory cut foot per foot in excess of what we're filling, as well as doing the wetland replication adjacent to the stream, to make sure that that's properly replenished. That essentially is the project. Are there any questions?
So, I guess my first question would be, and only because I don't have the other set of plans in front of me, the previous project that we discussed with Nick brought us down to a certain level over here, and I just can't remember where it was. I didn't remember this culvert shown here.
It's the 100-foot buffer for what you're doing. So
Okay.
right there, outside this buffer zone.
Thank you very
We've
much, sir.
established that limit and coordinated it with the other plan, so that it's up here, it's at the very upper right-hand
Yep.
corner of your plans. There's a match line shown there where we stopped the work on the solar project and then had the rest of this driveway put into this NOI.
No, that's perfect. I just wanted to make sure I was not overlapping the two. So, and I'm sorry, on this plan, I can't read it. I don't know what the station marker is. There's looks like another path under the roadway. If you bring your thumb down the road from the height,
There is the
Right there.
existing cart path that
Yep.
was there, did not seem like an optimal location to kind of stay as much out of these buffers as possible. Plus to go into whatever this previous crossing seemed to have been, it was better to get across at this location.
okay. Is there, what do you have there? Is
There is no,
that's in the buffer?
it's outside of the, it's still through the buffer, yes.
Okay. I'm just seeing a lot of contour lines and a lot of dash lines. I'm just trying to make sure I'm interpreting correctly.
Mhm.
Okay, so, right, so if that's your wetland line, oh yeah, it's definitely in the buffer. Okay,
Yes.
all right. And is that a fill and crossing, or is there also a culvert there?
There's no culvert there.
Okay.
We were unable to find a culvert at this crossing. There's certainly some indication of channeling across this, but it's at a higher elevation. Doesn't seem to make sense. Perhaps it was an overflow at some other earlier time, but the level of the pond, the grades leading away from this don't indicate one way or the other which direction this is really meant to go. It's at a high point. So
Sure.
we're simply crossing it.
Okay. All right, so do you have a plan of the culvert on a large scale that you can show us, the 3 culvert pipes set in with the crossing? Did I miss that on
don't
here?
have a larger blow-up of it. It's on sheet 4 of your set.
Right, so sheet 4 of my set shows that you're crossing, and it shows what looks like pipes. Okay. So there's nothing to show what that's going to look like?
In the profile itself.
Well, we do have a profile. It's showing us how the grades will come across here, where the presumed floodplain is, and where the normal pool would be for the pond and the stream channel upstream, crossing through here at an exaggerated scale, so it can be readable. At the crossing, there'll be guardrails to protect against any harm to anybody going across it. It's also going to be a gate that's closing this off, since in our discussion with various neighbors, they understand that people riding recreational vehicles and so on would like to come up here and use and drive all over the easement as they do, and they're still going to get there at various other access locations, but we're going to close this off here. Be pretty secure barrier to any unauthorized access with the crossing stopped by the gate, also by the guardrails right at the culvert crossing. It's a pretty effective barrier.
Okay, so at this point, if I look on the driveway profile, I see that it's stationed right in between 1 and 2 is where the 3 culvert pipes are, triple 36 HDPE. Okay. So what I don't see is a profile of what the path is going to look like, how far back you're going to extend. I can't tell, only because of the number of lines on the page. I can't tell, is the entire culvert work and the passover included inside the 100-foot buffer? I'm assuming all of it would be.
We are entirely. I'm sorry. Can you? Is the culvert entirely within the 100-foot buffer?
All of this work here
Down at the culvert.
down at the culvert is within the 100-foot buffer.
Well, it's actually in the wetlands.
Right. So the question is, what I'm looking for is a better profile to understand what your construction is going to look like as you get into the bank on both sides. That's not enough for me to tell you that I understand what it looks like. So are we doing concrete? Is it simply built up material in stone? What is the roadway going to look like?
The roadway, cross-section of the roadway itself.
Yes, please.
If you look on sheet 5 of your set, and you have a gravel driveway detail, it is going to be a 6-inch layer of 2-inch minus gravel stone on Marafi fabric and compacted. So 3-to-1 slopes tying out down each side. Detail of the guardrail and of the gate.
Okay. Any questions?
Doug, does this have to get permitted through natural heritage or Fish and Wildlife for destruction of the beaver dam or impact on wildlife?
So that was,
No.
that was one of the things that on the Form 3 notice of intent was not checked either way. That's page 5 of the NOI form. Any portion of the project located in estimated habitat for wildlife?
That should have been checked, no.
Okay. So that would answer that.
And we checked, and we are, there are various places around the project at a distance, but there are no habitats in the area that we are proposing to make the driveway.
Excuse me, what type of habitats?
Rare species? Rare species?
Estimated or priority habitat for rare or endangered species.
I don't answer that question.
So that's that no should be checked then? Correct. Yeah, okay.
The other thing I'm wondering about, that you said that the area would have to be temporarily drained, even if it's not priority habitat without impact on wildlife anyways.
There won't be,
Wildlife,
there will be an impact.
We can request that they do an appendix wildlife habitat
yeah.
assessment, but that's so far as we can go. I'm sure.
And it's gonna change a small
Yeah.
ecosystem,
Right.
basically, right?
So do we want that an impact thing?
It's definitely something to consider.
I think the other side of that is so we've been talking about the beaver dam, there's no sign of activity, but we definitely need to talk to whether it's DEP or DISU, Department of Fish and Wildlife Enforcement, and just ask them, Department of Fish and Wildlife, and ask them what the standard is for a beaver dam. So,
For the fund, without.
right.
There is active beaver activity. I have pictures of them. I took them from my window just recently. I saw Susan Andrews with a tent I wrote in there. And if there's a lack of beaver activity, it's probably because somebody illegally trapped, baited and trapped.
Well, ma'am, if I may,
last
well,
fall, I spoke to you last meeting.
can we discuss your part of it next, please?
Yeah.
But in any case, that's the sort of question I'd like to have. I'd like to have confirmed about the activity of beaver or lack of activity and impact on wildlife from the total draining of the area temporarily.
I guess what you get into is a discussion about what's the habitat like now, what's the habitat going to be like when the beaver dam is removed, and there's just a stream running through there, which is what it was before. So, I mean, I think we could do a very extensive study to say what's going to change when you drain the pond, but you're also looking at what's going to be restored when you drain the pond that used to be.
Well, so,
I think it's important to define those aspects, right? I mean, it's a given, right? I mean, you're gonna destroy something, but you want to be able to gain something in the end, and what is the gain environmentally? And a replication, it will be done on the north side. I mean, that's part of it.
well, it's not wetlands replication, right? It's compensatory storage areas.
It's both.
It's both,
But
But
I guess my point is it's changing constantly.
right.
It's changing whether we're doing anything or not, it's still changing. And by draining this, it's going to allow it to revert back to what it used to be. And we could spend an awful lot of money trying to define what all those things are. It's not going to change what happens.
Well, there are two parts to it. So the first part is that this is a lot to digest and we need to go through it and understand it better. The second part is that thanks to the previous beaver dam being tampered with, we've learned that any work on a beaver dam has to be worked through with Department of Fish and Wildlife. So we want to make sure that all those parts enter into the equations here. So that's those are the first notes. Yes, did you have any other thoughts?
No, that was my main.
George?
Just one comment, you have several notes in your general notes regarding underground utilities. Are there any?
Oh, there are none.
Okay.
We have some standard notes, but there's no other than the culvert.
Underwater. So I appreciate the detail in the replication sheet. Just for my own benefit, can you just, since they're in the same vicinity, can you explain what is, how you're differentiating the replication area versus the compensatory flood storage area?
Well, they actually are in the same area. The wetland replication area is, as you see, just up downstream and to the right of the proposed crossing. So, in order to get down to the level where we are allowing the stream to feed the wetlands to be replicated, we have to cut in here just a bit. So that's just to get the sheer square footage is the reason why this is so large. Now at that elevation, we're creating much more flood storage than what we actually need according to the flood storage requirement, the compensatory cut requirement. So then the smaller little bubble that's closer to the culvert is actually just at the lower elevations where we don't need the wetland replication. That's what those contours represent.
Thank you.
Bonnie, do you have any other questions?
Maybe it's a question for next time. Sorry.
Questions now?
No, it's not a bad idea to ask now. Go ahead.
No, I'm thinking about sort of future, so obviously the wetland's gonna be drained.
Yeah, I've heard that a couple of times.
Okay, so proper
Yeah.
language, sorry.
That's right, yeah, we're
sorry.
not gonna
Tell me.
drain any wetlands. What we are gonna do is remove the beaver dam itself and reconstruct the road and the culvert. That's not to say there couldn't be some sort of a temporary barrier if we need it to prevent the entire thing from draining, or if it does drain and it's just a stream, that as soon as we're done replacing it, it refills in a very short time period. I mean, I don't think we're talking about, there's certainly gonna be a lot of water that's backed up now behind the beaver dam that drains out. But we're not intending, I'm trying to say, we're not intending to go down a lot deeper than what's there now and drain everything and then build it back up. I don't think that's, we're definitely gonna go some deeper, but I don't think we're gonna be draining a whole big area way below where its natural state is gonna be.
Right, okay,
It
okay.
has been in the
Or has
past.
been in the past.
Okay.
That's not, it's gonna essentially look like it used to look.
Right.
We're not talking about draining all that away and then letting it come back in.
I think part of the
And-
concern is, so if you look at your hydraulic narrative, if you pick that up, right? The fourth page in shows April 29th, 2005. Okay, that's pretty much, that's the one where it's full. That's pretty much what it looks like today for all intents and purposes. There's water.
It may not be as extensive as it is today, but.
Right. But basically, let's use the expression full. If you turn to the next page, where it says June 18, 2010, on the right side, that, which is what I was saying, is that the one that's got veg, and we were saying, no, we think that's empty. And in fact, on this plan, on this photograph here, you can actually see the downed trees. Okay,
Oh, yeah, yep, I see them, yep.
so
So
if I may speak for you, what I believe Bonnie is trying to define is the spot somewhere in between the two different conditions.
Right, I don't expect to get to that elevation because what we're removing is not what regulates that upstream pond.
Right.
That upstream pond is regulated by a different obstruction that's going to stay in place. What we're talking about lowering the water table on is that basically straight shot in towards the culvert. The piece that goes off to the right is a pond that's regulated by a different dam that we're not going to have an impact on directly.
So if you looked at this picture, right, see how this would have been the lowest point in the area where the water was. Kyle can point to it right up there. This is the lowest point. And you can see where his finger is right now. That right now is the blockage between the two sections, and you can see where it literally runs through, so you can tell exactly where it was. We believe in 2010, right about that time anyway, was when someone came and cleared both dams. And that was the result of, what you see here is the result of that clearing that happened. So
So I guess, so.
we don't know, I'm sorry, just to
Yeah.
finish the thought.
Yeah.
We don't know what's there. It's underwater right now. Is that what we're saying? You can't see it. So it's underwater right now, so we don't know what's in that spot.
Okay. So I guess, sorry, can I?
No,
Sorry,
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. In the future, how will you manage, or how will we, how will it be managed so that the water level stays relatively at a certain distance below all the manholes? Because, I mean, you don't want, beavers come back in and dam a certain area and the water raises, the water level
So there's two
raises
answers.
again, right?
There's two answers to that. One is the elevation we set our culvert bottom at, our stream bed at, is going to basically govern the normal pool of the stream upstream of our roadway crossing. To the extent that stream is governed by that crossing. What we just talked about, the other obstruction that covers the other pond, is not going to be directly controlled by, assuming that that's still in place.
Right.
But, so the first thing that does it is just the setting of that elevation of the 229, which then gives about a foot of freeboard below the top of those manholes. And if you know a manhole, and you've got a rim where the manhole cover is, but then there's usually a cap on it that goes down 8 to 12 inches, and then there's the body below that. So you don't want to have water right up to the edge of the rim, and you want to have a foot of freeboard.
Right.
Can you please go back to this picture, just for a second? Because we keep talking about the manholes, and I was excited when I saw this photograph with the hope that we might actually see the structures that Mark is so concerned about. And is there any way, are they identifiable on that picture?
We might be able to match up this image with this at somehow or another. I mean, approximately right about here is one manhole where our driveway would go and cross.
Right.
And all I can say is
We saw
that
it, there was a
somewhere
pointing.
over here, there are a couple more manholes. And then over here, probably outside the tree line, maybe just outside the tree line, there would be another one. And there would probably be another one down here somewhere. But I don't see it on this image.
I was hopeful. The only reason being that, to Bonnie's question, so part of what we're talking about is creating a passageway through an area where there's a known beaver dam. Fine. But at the end of the day, your work might not make any difference on what the water level is on the other side of whatever this blockage is here. Because we don't know what the distance is from the water table today, from the water level today to what that blockage is. So you might drop it 6 feet on your side and it only goes down 6 inches on this side. So.
Just from looking at the pictures, we're talking about dropping it 4 feet, which is going to take us somewhere near the stream bed, maybe even still a little above what the downstream stream bed is by a foot or a foot and a half, something like that. At the upstream edge, it's going to contour down to it. But if that obstruction, if we're going down to 229, say, that other obstruction's at 231, it's going to hold that pond at 231, even though we're going down to 229.
There's at least a pool of 3 feet of water depth right in front. I mean, there's a pocket in front of this. And there's other, indications of a lower stream bed as you go further upstream. I mean, even if we send our surveyors out there to try to obtain or ascertain what's happening at this crossing with trees and whatever debris that might be left over from beaver dams or other materials, we wouldn't be able to tell what's happening there.
No, it's definitely tricky.
Well, it's also a little hazardous. I mean, you put them in a boat and then that becomes almost possible to maneuver around. But we had guys walk out in the shallower part of the field right behind the houses. They were about knee deep walking, shooting topo out there. But there are definitely a definite stream bed that gets deeper. So we don't want to lose anything.
To snappers.
Yeah.
Again.
Mutant snappers.
Yeah, we can't afford another one.
Sacrifice so much just to get this far.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions?
Yeah, I had plenty of questions about the culvert, but we'll skip them until you come back with Takaji's commentary.
Well, we should probably talk a little bit about the questions so that we know how to
That's all right. I mean, we'll see, because they're all moot if Takaji, you're right, and this does apply. So I'll wait. That's
Well,
no big
we
deal.
need to have an open bottom culvert, and they have to be 1.2 times the bank full width. The question is where you establish that bank full width, and what type of culvert are you talking about? Are we talking about a massive civil works project
Right.
in order to pass the stream.
I would, there are stream crossing standards.
Yeah, so
That
it's spelled
are
out.
defined.
But I know if we're talking about
Yeah.
1.2 times bank full width, which is an Army Corps standard, that might be applied.
It's
to
also now a
cruisers.
DEP standard.
Right, but if we're talking about that kind of standard for this, then that's a
Where do you measure the
gargantuan
bank?
project.
Right.
I guess the question is, where do you measure the bank?
Yeah,
Mhm.
they have, no, the word that's coming to mind is a formula, but that's not the right word. They have
Criteria.
criteria, yeah, thank you, for doing that.
Because the problem is too, if you've got a very shallow, wide
Right. Yeah,
embankment, then you get into a
right,
major.
right,
work
because they
project.
also have an openness ratio that, like you said, could end up
And the issue there
conflicting
is
with
really
the
for.
analysis that you've already done, setting an elevation that you think's gonna work, so,
Yeah.
but, that's why I think it's important to determine if you even need to go there, and then if you do that,
Would this be defined as an ecological restoration project?
I don't believe so.
No.
That's
That's an
it's a
actual,
new limited project category that, I mean,
it's a fairly specific thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really for
the last time I
restoration.
asked DEP about
Yeah.
that, they said no one had ever submitted an ecological restoration notice of intent. There's a new notice of intent form that you can fill, but no one had ever done it before, so
Okay.
it's still,
Yeah.
Just curious.
yeah, right, nobody wants to get the project. So, I don't know if there's a good.
No,
answer.
yeah, that's,
Alright.
but so skipping all that until later, how come you picked that location for the replication? You know, were there any alternatives discussed, or, you know, did you just pick the nearest one, or, you know?
Well, I mean, it really has to do with the connectivity to the stream
Mhm.
and where we wouldn't be disturbing the existing wetlands that are adjacent to the stream.
Right,
Really what it came down to. I mean, we can chase this down, but that's probably not very viable. So this was nearby. And it's kind of in its own little cove and really, you know, would be a good replication area. So,
yeah. I was just wondering, because I went out and had a look, and, you know, it's a fairly nice, mature, looked tall, you know, it just looked like a lot of bother. And
we did, you know, want to preserve some screen of that.
all right. Well, you know, I'd be curious to hear, you know, what other thoughts there might be, if there's anything else, because in a manner of speaking, it's nice looking land, and it's not broken. You know what I mean? You know, it looks like there may be a perfectly good space being, you know, transferred over to the replication area, and maybe a little downstream, a little upstream, a little to the left, a little to the right. Maybe there's something a little more degraded, but. Yeah, exactly. And then the other question is just back to the beavers. Have you put any thought into, you know, we put the road in, we put the culvert in, it's all there, and then the beavers come back, you know, where are they gonna go? Because your road is gonna become the natural pinch point. And so maybe they won't use the road itself as a dam, but right up or right downstream, you know, any thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
there are several methods. One would be to try to install a permanent, you know, water leveling device, a beaver suitor, which might not work so well, as opposed to, you know, a beaver fence that would kind of go around where the riprap is upstream. They're
They'll
supposed
dam
to be very
that. They'll dam
successful.
that.
Pardon?
They'll dam it.
Well,
I've seen it done.
you know, in talking with Mike Callahan about that, you know, that seems to be a pretty good option for a deterrent for them. I mean, they're industrious creatures, there may not be anything that we can do to stop the beavers. Not that we want to stop them entirely, but maybe we can just preserve the flow through the culvert and not push it over the driveway.
All right.
That's definitely something we think about and talking with, Mark Russell too, is that he's trying to accomplish a certain thing, and he's seeing this as the way to do that in order to preserve that accomplishment.
And speaking of Mark, do you want to read the other letter from Mark that you got to these guys?
I did. So there were two.
One were the comments from the original submission.
It was the site plan review. Yep. So Mark wrote on February 11th, he wrote, I've reviewed the site plan review submittal for Rosewood Avenue Extension. The plan that was reviewed was Rosewood Avenue Extension Air Mass Sheets 1 through 5 prepared by GPR dated January 2016. In addition, there is an abutting separate project, Ayer Solar Project, that was reviewed simultaneously, and comments may apply to both projects. So the application that we had was the Ayer Solar Project. We had not heard about this, which is the Avenue Extension, until today. Based on my review, I offer the following comments. There's an existing sewer easement shown on the plan. The sewer upstream of this location is currently underwater due to the beaver dam created pond. When the sewer was installed, there was just a brook running through the area from the rail crossing culvert to Groton School Road / James Brook. Removal of the beaver dam and restoration of the flow to a brook channel should be required for this project, which is part of what we're discussing today. Again, can you please go back to the picture, sir? Thank you. So the stream, which is more clearly delineated there on the 2001, you can see where it passes through. So Mr. Wetzel was saying that restoration of that flow should be part of the project. Number 2, sewer is a 16-inch AC interceptor from Neshoba Valley. The plan should show location of sewer and manholes with rim and invert elevations. I didn't see those on the plan. Do you have those?
Those are, yeah, we have the one that's within our roadway.
We don't have the invert elevation. We figured Mark has that on his as-built information. We're not tying into it. We have the rim elevations.
Okay.
But the rest of them are outside of our locus.
The manhole at the proposed road extension should be adjusted as part of the project.
It will be.
Okay. Was that on the plan? I don't think I saw it.
It'll be raised to the road at a certain elevation.
Right.
So I thought I saw a circle with an S on sheet 2.
That's correct. And on the profile on sheet 4, there's a note that says adjust rim to finished grade for the existing sanitary SMH or sanitary manhole, raising approximately 8 inches. Right near the culvert crossing.
Do we have this electronically?
No?
Okay.
That would be great.
Email that to you. But
I have a much bigger monitor than this.
so we have the on page 2.
Like my monitor.
On page 2, there's the elevation 231.56 for the manhole that'll be in the driveway. There's elevation of 230.61 for the next manhole upstream. That's as far as our surveyors could wait before they got taken down.
Sure. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we copied that because Mark asked for it specifically, so it is addressed. So again, manhole at the proposed road extension should be adjusted. Note is on the project plans. Number 3, there is an old culvert located at the crossing based on DPW records. This may have been removed, but we have no record of this. This should be investigated to determine the original hydraulics of the brook crossing. So you've investigated, you haven't located it, you've come up with your own hydraulic
And our expectation is
discussion.
that culvert is going to be far less than anything that we're required to put in now.
Well, and also depending upon, what was happening up there with the beavers and the flow, it could have looked like 2010. You could have probably done it with an 8-inch. So.
Yeah.
Number 4, sheet 4 shows the limit of this project as station 2 plus 38.
Yeah, there is a discrepancy in the limits of the project, so that's what we clarified on sheet 4.
Right, and we went up to this marker up here.
Yeah.
Okay. And states proposed private driveway extension to solar project by separate application. The solar project submittal begins at station 15 plus 00. Design of the access drive between these two projects must be included on the solar project site plan. So the solar project site plan ends here. This is a separate project. There's no, as discussed during our meeting, there's no solar project plan without this project. Okay. To meet Mark's question. And number 5, project is not detailed drainage design. If this is a gravel road, design should be in accordance with Massachusetts Unpaved Roads BMP manual and Mass DEP. So to that end, you show on your detail, gravel detail, gravel driveway detail on page 5. You show the road with a crown.
Well, the crown roadway really wouldn't work very well here, so we're taking and since it's a 16-foot driveway, we're just taking where the natural grade is, allowing this to crown at one edge, so it's just flowing across, and really it sheet flows off of this. There needs to be a line of silt fence along the road that's not shown. We'll bring that into the next iteration, as well as we'll locate the location of the temporary dewatering structure.
Okay. Okay. So to sum up, we have drawings, sheets 1 through 6, dated May 2016. For the project, we have hydraulic narrative, which is attached. We have the actual NOI paperwork, and we have 2 letters from Mark Wetzel, one to the Air Concom and one to the Air Planning Board, both in review of the Rosewood Avenue extension. Did I miss anything? Okay. The next step here would be to do a site walk. If I were looking at sheet 4, is the roadway, other than the fact that you have to cross the Beaver Dam, is the roadway accessible from the end of Rosewood all the way to where the line cuts off for the original solar project?
Yeah, it's there. I mean, it's rough.
But it could be marked and we could walk it so that we could see where the project was?
I think we could probably do that, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah. If we could get across the Beaver Dam, it's pretty treacherous to get across the Beaver Dam.
Well, we had done this in the past when we reviewed this project with Mr. Wood, originally when he came to us about another application. We walked down the rail trail and came in that way.
Okay.
So we could do the same thing in this case.
That would be smart. I think that's
A whole lot easier. And when we were done with that, we drove around Rosewood and then came in the other way to look at it from the other direction. So as you know, our typical application, any work that's done inside of the buffer zone, we're looking for it to be marked so we can at least walk it and better understand what the existing conditions are compared to what the future conditions will be. It also helps us to understand things like what you're going to do with soil materials. Do you have good storage options? Are there tricky spots that we're worried about most that we can talk about during that walk? During that time, we'll also probably want to cover some of the areas around where the Beaver Dam is to get a better feel for it, because obviously this area is not one we can pass over. So if we were able to establish a stake on each side of where the culvert pipes were going to be located, so we could say it's 25 feet that way, and from the other side it's 25 feet that way. That would keep any of us from walking on the Beaver Dam, which is not smart, if I remember correctly from the last time we were there. And then last but not least, we'll be taking this in 2 different directions. One, we'll be talking to Mark and asking him if the town engineer would be the right person to do a review on this as well, to review the hydraulic calculations. We have not had a culvert pipe like this ever before. None of us are the right person to review hydraulic calculations and understand them. And so in that case, we'll talk to Mark about his ability to do that review for us. And then last but not least, we'd be looking for your review of the stream crossing standards as discussed, and also with regard to Beaver Dam activity. We'll send an email off to Joe Bellino. He's our representative at DEP for the area. Talk to him about his thoughts about a Beaver Dam and what that entails as far as permitting. You folks do your own research and we'll meet up on the same side of that. Because obviously we both got to come at that from the same angle. It may have an effect on how you do your construction and certain times of year when they allow for the removal, et cetera, et cetera. So all that would have to be figured into the overall project scheme. So, did I miss anything that anyone wants to discuss before I ask for public comment? Did you have any further comment?
Yes.
Okay, can you please repeat your name for Jess?
I'm Susan Andres, and I live on 10 Dun Road in Ayer.
Thank you.
That was a very, very good presentation, but there were a few faults in assumptions about what is holding the water back in certain spots and how long it's been in the condition that it is in. And what the wildlife is in the area. The area that you say blocks off and holds water back into the small pond, I have never seen that hold the water back into the small pond. That is a beaver dam that was put there by the beavers and was removed when the people came through and took away the beaver dams back in 2010. I actually have a question too. When that area was taken down completely like that, if the water going into the sewer system was such a critical concern at that point, why wasn't it addressed then?
So that's an excellent question for the DPW.
Yeah.
The present DPW superintendent probably can't speak to that because he wasn't the DPW superintendent at the time.
Yeah. Because this area has been full, very full, over the top of what would be considered the sewer for at least 20 years. And if it had been such a critical issue, I think that it would have been addressed before this time. And to throw that in as one of the issues that why it has to be done seems irrelevant.
Well, I can tell you that from our discussions with Mr. Wetzel, we've been talking about this for 3 years, trying to open that area up or lower the water level in that area with the specific intent of making it possible to service that sewer line. So if something went wrong, they'd be in a real pickle tomorrow because the sewer line serves the hospital. And if there was a problem with the sewer line, they'd be in an awful lot of trouble. And so right now, it's definitely being discussed as part of this application, but I can tell you that the DPW has been concerned about this since, I can't remember what Dan Nason, I can't remember when he started, 2012, 2013. So we've been, 2010 maybe, we've been talking about this for a very long time with the DPW, and they were in a position of trying to get to this state that we're discussing right now. So this has been coming up with the town before this.
So I think that when you say that if you remove that dam, that area is going to hold that water back in, I think that's an incorrect assumption. And I think that there should be some study to see whether what that area is, and will that area actually hold the water in for the wildlife that is in that area, or I don't know what needs to be done with the sewer line. Is it going to need to be drained anyway? But that is, a question for me. Also, there was, you had mentioned speaking to neighbors about whether they like the height of the water the way it is now or not. We walk the blocks every single night with our dogs, and the neighbors love the height of what it is. And initially, when the man whose shed got flooded was put out about it, and they made some attempt to lower the water a little bit. But eventually, he just, he was just like, it's done. He likes it the way it is. The people around the area like it. They enjoy it. They skate on it. They fish in it. They canoe on it. We saw people out there in boats. I don't know if they were from the town, from their department out there. When you say that it was too dangerous for them to go out in boats, we saw guys out there on boats just a couple of weeks ago out there testing the depth of the water. So I don't think it would be a hard thing to do to sort of figure this area out. To lower the water by 4 feet, I think would completely lower. I think it would be almost completely dry at that point because it's not as deep as it seems to be in that area. As far as beaver activity in that area, there's always been plenty of beaver activity in that area. Last fall, a man that lives at the end of Rosewood Ave said that somebody came in, baited traps, put them underwater, and drowned and killed an enormous amount of wildlife, and then came back and took the traps and threw them in the back of his truck, so many of them that he had to put his children into the house so that they would not get to see how many animals were destroyed. Nobody seems to know who did this. The town says, I was in contact with Mr. Wetzel, he said that the town did not authorize this, but somebody came along and I don't know if they purposely killed these beavers in anticipation of this project to say that there was no beaver activity here, so they could go ahead and do this. I would hate to think that anybody would purposely do something like
I
that.
object to that.
Yeah, this project was not.
I said I would hate to think that anybody would do something like this. You never know, you may not do that, but somebody underneath you may think, hey, I can make it easier for the boss if I go out there and do this.
This project was conceived a couple of months ago. This was not
Yeah.
years in the making.
They were
And
also,
there's a much better pathways of doing this with the beavers in place, actually.
there was also talk at the last meeting when the abutters were here, that there are alternatives to coming to even using this access point.
There's not.
At the last meeting, you told us that there were.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Are you referring to a zoning hearing?
When they had the abutters come in.
At a zoning hearing?
Yes, when we
Okay.
got the letter to come in.
I just wanted to
And we
understand.
asked if there were alternatives. My husband asked you if there were alternatives to this.
For
And-
access to the property.
And you said as opposed to using this particular way to come in,
There are no-
you said yes, and we taped the hearing, so we have it. And the committees also said that there were alternative routes to come in.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Sir?
I own that property, it's landlocked. The beavers have landlocked 2 20-acre parcels that I own. I can't get to it because of the beavers and regulations. It's also flooded roughly 15 acres of my land on the other side of the tracks that I could not prevent. So you want to talk about wildlife? I've allowed that to be created with the additional flooding of our property. Now, all I want to do is gain access to my property. You've been working with the DPW for 3 years. In my opinion, I have not seen anything get done to cure the leakage and the seepage into the sewer system.
Agreed?
Because of the time constraints that we're dealing with the national grid and the hooking up on the power. And what I'm hearing tonight from this board is it's almost over-analyzing, over-engineering on such a small project in the $30,000 to $40,000 that's been spent on engineering for this, for a real good plan to save the town the money. It's also saving the town the money by correcting the sewer system. So again, I want access to the property, which I had before. The beavers are still going to live. And if you know so much about that pond, there's also dams in the middle of that pond to create the back flooding all the way over to my other property. So I'm going to ask the board if we can help expedite this process, because time, all of a sudden this might not happen because of state regulations. Now we get all these other state agencies involved. You want to talk about overanalyzing it just to build a 16-foot road and to put in 3 culverts. That's just like it's overkill. I'm flabbergasted on what I'm hearing.
You know, Mr. Warren,
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Hold on 1 sec.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So we brought up stream crossing standards that are the state standards. That's not an option to discuss. And we talked about the beaver dam and removing the beaver dam, and actually we're trying to work with you to figure out that we're both on the same page, because you can't just take a beaver dam down. We're trying to work with you to make sure that we understand the full scope of the project. I don't think anybody's trying to over-engineer anything. Did you have any?
But I respect that.
Do you have any further comments, ma'am?
I do, actually, if you don't mind. And I know you're a man of integrity, and I don't, and I'm sorry if there's frustration at this final end of the process to have, people say something about this, but this is where I live. I've lived here for 25 years. This has been my backyard. I've seen it every single day of my life since I've lived here, and also the other people have too, and we have concerns, so we just want them addressed.
Let me just address that. When my father built Doug Road, which was named after my brother,
I know,
okay?
yeah.
We had neighbors talking exactly the same way you're talking today, trying to find out a way not to do something or procrastinate or delay or change. And now you're living in that project that we had to go through the same exact process to build you a house.
I don't want to stop this project. I want the solar farm there. I want you to be able to have access to it. I just want it done in a way that makes sure that it doesn't decimate the wildlife that I've grown to love back there, to see every day. And to, make sure that, if there's another way to do it without doing that, and it's not too expensive for you to do and too
If there was an easier way,
time-consuming and things like
if there was
that.
an easier way, we would be doing it, trust me. But
Well,
when you have landlocked land,
So we're already at 9 o'clock. If you have a couple more comments, I'll allow them.
I do. How long is the road that's going to be going in there once? And also there's an assumption that there's a road that's sort of washed out. That road just sort of ended there for a long time. How much further out from that point is it going to go out?
We have to get to the other side of the power lines, basically.
So, but when you go at the end of Rosewood, it goes straight down like that, you turn there?
It curves up the hill and stays in the middle of the upland area, and then it goes under the power lines. When it gets to the other side of the power lines, it splits and goes up the hill, one to this array and one to there.
Okay, so but when it goes over the beaver dam through that area there, how much further does it go straight that way there?
Well, it's shown on the plan.
So to this point where it joins the air solar?
Just the point past the beaver, before it makes the
Well,
turn.
I mean,
Not very far.
I don't-
It's a curve.
the limits of the beaver dam are a little bit nebulous, but,
Well, the
It
curve is about
starts to
200
curve.
feet, right? Is
well,
that,
but it starts to, the stream channel is right here. Like, basically, you can orient yourself to the downstream channel.
So I'm saying the end of Rosewood Ave, what's now considered the end of Rosewood Ave to where that cul-de-sac turn is, yes, right there.
Okay, so that's about 250 feet.
Okay, so it's gonna be wood sticking down in that area.
Yes, there have to be trees taken out along gravel drive.
Not for the cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac is just a line on paper at this point. It's not-
Kyle, can you highlight, I can see on the plan, and maybe this helps answer the question, Susan, I can see the limit of the trees.
Tree line?
Yeah, I can see the tree line to the north of that curve. Is that
Okay.
going to stay? So see the tree line that's there right now?
You
Yep.
know,
Is that going to stay?
well, there's no grading proposed in there, so that would stay. You know, depending on what the sidewalk turns up, if there's some ideal location for the wetland replication somewhere contiguous to a stream channel, that would work better. Maybe there's more trees saved in here, but, the other side of the trees come up through here and be through here, so you got a pocket.
That area completely to the left of where you're pointing right now has no trees. That's like sort of like
And that may
a
be
meadow
where,
sort of
where
land.
there's an opportunity for a better replication area, perhaps. We don't have topography in that area, so I don't know if that's better or not. We do have the sewer easement to contend with. We certainly aren't gonna recreate wetlands on the sewer easement. So there's a limited potential, but
You may have-
nonetheless a possibility.
Plus, part of that is the stream bed as you come through there, so you couldn't, so a quick thumbnail sketch what happens is, so for instance, if you're on the side of a river and you put stuff in that area, you have to provide compensatory storage somewhere else. So if I add 100 cubic feet, I have to take away 100 cubic feet so that I don't affect the overall amount of water during the flood. So what they've done, excuse me, is they've created a bowl, if you will, that would hold the water that would otherwise be taken up by the road crossing. So if the road crossing is 1,000 cubic feet, they've opened up 1,000 cubic feet to take that somewhere else. You can't do that in the area where there's no trees in some of that area because that's the actual stream itself. So compensatory storage has to be done up above where the area would have been, where the water would flow through anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and as far as the streams, I don't really,
Yeah,
I was there the other night, but I mean, it's not really. And when you do your site walk, you'll be able to see that there's not really.
No, I've walked through the area that used to be a stream because there was a beaver dam there. But that's part of our discussion here right now.
If I may, the other aspect of that for the wetlands replication is that this whole area, as far as we know, at least that's where the end of our wetland flagging had gone, but it's indicative that this is all wetlands anyway. So for what we disturb for this crossing, we need to take some upland areas in order to create that replication. And that just was a very suitable spot, so it seemed.
When you do the site walk, who is allowed at the site walk? Is it only the town and the people doing it? Or?
It is. It's only the town and the applicant, and the reason is for legal purposes. So the applicant allows the commission to come on their property, but other folks, for liability reasons, they're excluded.
Okay. Alrighty. And as far as the manhole covers, Mark Witzel seemed to only propose one solution to fixing that problem, which was lowering the water and doing one other project that seemed a little bit foolhardy to me to raise the height of the, if there's a possibility, if it's going to be drained anyway, and the height can be raised without having to do this intensive project which you suggested, I think that that would be, the neighbors would be happy with that, to keep as much water in that area as possible.
So what Mark actually wrote, so he did address that on his letter that Kyle read. He said, proposed roadway culvert design would lower the elevation level of the water of the pond to a normal level of 229 feet. So I was actually going to ask you to go to the 1969 plan, please. So the drawing that has been inset here among the photos is the plan that the sewer was built to. And I couldn't possibly from this area read the elevation, but
It's not a matter of elevation, if I may, sir,
Sure.
just to say that if you look at where the limits of the pond were, and then the installation of the sewer line itself was clearly outside of the limits of that pond at that time. So I think, if I may, also Mark Wetzel's comment about building up along the easement so that he has access to his manholes, which would include, so that he could get to them if there was an emergency or blockage or stoppage or whatever, a break or something, means that, he would need to be able to drive along this easement. And if it's inundated with the water, he can't do that. He can't get there. And once he pops the manhole open, 3 feet of water, thousands of gallons is now pouring into this municipal system.
Not if it's elevated.
well, so he did state that. He stated an alternative to lowering the water level is to raise the access easement and manholes that are under the water. This would require temporarily draining the beaver pond, adding fill on the easement from Doug Road and between the manholes, and raising each manhole structure. This would require approximately 4,000 yards of fill and would essentially create dikes in the existing beaver pond. This would be costly and could increase the impact on the resources and flood protection. So what Mark is saying is that to do what you're talking about, he would then effectively have to, for lack of a better expression, he'd have to build the same road into this area in order to create and lift those manhole covers above the water.
My question was, is that the only way to do it?
Well, you're talking about a gravity system, so it's either you lower the water so you can find them, or you raise them above the water.
I meant the dike system that he was saying that you would have to do. I don't know. But that's that was my question. And
Well, so that no one's glossing anything over. Mr. Wetzel published or sent this memorandum to the Conservation Commission. You can certainly get a copy from Brian or reach out to Mark, and I'm sure that he would be happy to answer any questions you might have about that.
okay. And just one more thing, that there was mention that that this area is changing constantly. The height of the water was increasing and decreasing sort of dramatically all the time. That maybe happened in the first 3 years of when I lived here, and then from that point on, the water remained consistent until the year that someone came and took down the beaver dams. Then the water level was lowered, and then once it refilled up again, it's been consistent since then. Always, always, always at a certain height. And there's an enormous amount of wildlife that live in that area.
We appreciate that as well. The issue is there are two parts to it. The first is, if we're restoring the stream, as the applicant is talking about, which is effectively taking out the beaver dam that's on the other side, which the town has discussed now for several years to get a handle on. That's one part of it, and then the other part of it is the water level on the back side of that, allowing access to the sewer manholes. So I think everyone's cognizant of it, but we also know that the manholes and the sewer structure have been on the DPW's wish list to get corrected for a long time. So I think all those parts come into play in this discussion.
If it needed to be drained, what time of year would it need to be drained?
Well, that's probably something we would discuss at the site walk. And quite frankly, the first place I want to go to get information about that is from the state to find out about what regulations there are about removing a beaver dam. I'm sure there are standards, but there are also probably emergency procedures. So there's things that we need to ask and find out.
Okay. And who would I email to let know about and send the pictures of the endangered species that we know live back there? Would that be you? Okay.
Well, you should report those to the state. I mean, if they are what they are, that's the way that you get them documented, is you send that documentation to the people who regulate that.
Okay.
That'd be the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, the Department of Fish and Game.
Best bet for you in that case is to find your documentation and get in touch with the folks at the state. You can find them on the DEP website. Would that be the best way?
The DFG.
DFG?
Department of Fish and Game. It's all under mass.gov. You search for...
I was on the Mass.gov right now just looking at the endangered species and sort of trying to look it up, so.
And copy
If I
us.
may, Mr. Daniels, we got another hearing at 7:45.
I'm well aware. I'm going to speak to Brian when we're done tonight about 15 minutes for a Calvin Moore project. That's just crazy. Okay. Susan, is there anything else?
And there'll be another meeting on this
There will be. In fact, the next thing we're going to talk about is how long it will take to get the property staked so that we can walk it. So how long do we think it would take to get the property staked so we could walk it?
Won't be tomorrow. When do you know at your sidewalks? You Saturday sidewalks or Sunday?
Saturdays. So we usually do Saturday mornings. This Saturday is the
14th.
14.
good thing I didn't listen to any of you. Okay, so this sidewalk, this Saturday is the 14th. Next available is the 21st. Following Saturday. Do you think you can make the 21st?
What's the next time you can get in front of the board as well?
Well, our next meeting
26th.
is on the 26th.
Okay, so
Okay. Can folks make the 21st? I know it's my parents' 50th anniversary. Are any of you going to be able to make it anyway? I have no idea.
I'm on camping, but I might be able to.
All right.
On camp, decamp, or whatever.
Decamp?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it might be a good one for you to come and join us on with the extension.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Okay.
Long. Fun.
So, do we say 8 o'clock on the 21st?
Sounds good.
Meeting where? Which
Well,
set?
that
Which
is a
end?
great question. So, what I would request that you do,
Oh,
as
the
you know
21st.
from the,
No, I'm booked.
what's that?
I'm booked.
Okay. What I would request that you do, as we come down the, as you come down the rail trail, we met Christine Lagus Wood and Ken Wood right under the power lines, didn't we? Just before them. And we passed into the woods and we came in right on the other side of where this is. So why don't we meet under the power lines on Saturday the 21st at 8:15. That gives everybody 15 minutes to make it up the power lines because we'll be walking. 8:15.
Where you gonna park to access that?
If I was going to park, to get to there?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'd probably just bike down the hill and come in that way,
Or you
but
just park at the end of Jonathan Drive?
Park at the end of Doug Road and just walk through that little trail through the woods and take you right up on the rail trail.
There's a path going right through my land on that side of Jonathan Drive.
okay. We could certainly do that. I was going to ride down the hill and then come down the rail trail on a bike, so
I've seen it everybody else.
that's very kind. Okay.
I'll take
So-
their place if they can't make it.
So sidewalk under, I'm just going to put sidewalk under the power lines on the rail trail at 8:15 on the 21st.
You don't have to worry about me being there, I'll be at St. Elizabeth's.
Okay. I'm going to set aside 2 hours for the site walk. All right. Does anybody have any other comments before we continue the hearing? Anything further? I would accept a motion to continue this public hearing until May 26, 2016.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
One lame lady hadn't showed up, Calvin.
Say that again, please?
If one lame lady hadn't shown up, we're gonna have to do a...
Just redundant on the line.
I suppose for you it is, for me it's all right.
All right.
And I'm sorry for me, but for you.
If I may, Susan.
Oh, are you all done?
No, we have more tonight.
Oh, I thought you were done.
No. Oh, no. We're at least another hour and a half.
Meeting now, what time is it?
I'm gonna go look up now.
Would anyone need to? If you make the commission mad because they have to pee, Calvin, that's not in your best interest. Okay. Next up, 7:45, we have a public hearing, NOI, for Riley Jane Farm LLC. Do you have a DEP phone number?
No,
Not yet.
they're running slow these days.
All right. Nick, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. It's nice to see everyone again. My name's Nick Palm from Goldsmith Preston Ringwald. We're here tonight to talk about the notice of intent that was filed along with a residential subdivision called Riley Jane Farm. Just my card, so she spells my name right, and the notifications. As you mentioned, we don't have a file number. The notifications were 4 short, just haven't come back yet. So we'll keep an eye out for those and give those to you as they come in. Up on the wall is a colored version.
Wait a minute, if I may, so
Yep.
you have 4 mailings, but you don't have the green cards back?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they were sent out. We have the receipts. They just haven't been returned. They're probably sitting in a corner of
Oh.
the office or post office probably.
As long as you have the receipts.
Yep. So what we're proposing is at the end of Pleasant Street. It's a 44-acre parcel.
I'm sorry, who's, Thank you.
Excuse me. What the development is 44 acres. We're proposing to divide it into 16 lots to support and access each of those lots. We're proposing the extension of Pleasant Street to a teardrop turnaround. Also, another road that is proposed is what's called Trevor Trail, which is a newer road into the woods. Pleasant Street extension generally follows the existing driveway that accesses the existing 114 Pleasant dwelling, and then generally meanders to the left into the open field. The total disturbance for the entire development is 12 acres. Of that 12 acres, about just over 4 acres is actually within the buffer zone of the BVW. If you guys remember, in 2014, we went through the ANRAD process for the BVW line.
That's why we set a 2-hour meeting walk for our next one.
Yeah, that was the learning curve, I remember. The 3 meetings of 3 hours apiece. So what we're proposing is an extension of 550 feet of Pleasant Street. There's 350 feet of Trevor Trail, not including either of the cul-de-sacs. There are 16 lots, as I mentioned. 15 houses will be off of those roads, 1 existing, 14 new. The largest lot is actually lot 10, which is the back portion of the property. It's actually cut off of this plan as we're showing it. That's actually filled with a lot of resource areas that we'll get into a little bit later on. To kind of limit some curb cuts, 4 of the 15 houses are going to be proposed off of common driveways. Common driveways are 12 feet of pavement and 2 4-foot shoulders on either side to meet the new fire access requirements. So the NOI that we've submitted deals a lot with talking about buffer zones. There are some, but we'll talk about the buffer zones first and kind of work up to the meat of the meal, if you don't mind. Lot 8 and 9, which is back here, the common driveway clips the 100-foot buffer as it comes off of Pleasant Street. Both of the houses are outside the 100-foot buffer, so that part of the notice of intent is the common drive and grading associated with it. Lot 12, which is down here off the end of Trevor Trail, again is the back contouring for the house. The house is outside the 100-foot, it's just the backyard grading. Lot 13, the dwelling itself, that's actually right here, is again off the end of Trevor Trail. That house is within the 100-foot buffer zone, as well as some of the yard work. That has some additional disturbance on it that we'll talk about once I run through this list. Lot 16, again, is right on the right. As we come in the site, has a long driveway, and the house is within the 100-foot buffer zone along with the driveway. There is some wetland disturbance. One wetland disturbance is on lot 1 and 2. As I mentioned, the common driveway here. There's a natural stream of the BVW, this wetland here, which comes from the mysterious pipes that we all remember from the sidewalk. Currently flow under a 12-inch pipe underneath the existing culvert. They'll go under another culvert, under the proposed culvert, and continue to flow off-site. So there's 640-something square feet of wetland disturbance. To offset that, we're proposing 780 square feet of wetland replication just adjacent to the down gradient wetland line. The reason we took that spot is that it's outside the flow path of the culverts, and we are proposing some other work in that area, so we wouldn't be clearing trees just to replicate. Seems kind of counterproductive. The other 2 resource kind of disturbances deal with connections of utilities to service the development. The entire development will be connected to the sewer. I'll gloss over this point. It all goes gravity to one of the manholes that is up gradient that you guys just exhaustively talked about. It's all, as I said, all gravity down Pleasant Street where we'll go cross country and connect into. That actual manhole is within the BVW. It's also within Matt's floodplain. we're saying it's within the 200-foot riverfront. The terminus of the stream that you guys were talking about in the previous is actually on Lot 10 itself, probably right here where my finger is.
Of course it is.
Yeah, that's based on the digitation, ooh, almost.
You're right there.
From the Mass GIS mapping, 200 feet from that actually is wholly contained in Lot 10 itself, so kind of give you a grasp of how big Lot 10 is, 400 feet wide plus. So that sewer connection would disturb probably a 25 by 16 area, about 400 square feet of wetland. Again, that would be classified as a limited project for a utility connection. So we would be excavating to install that connection, then replacing and allowing to reestablish. That is still open to the possibility of additional disturbance. Mark Wetzel has reviewed the plans. We just received them today, unfortunately. There are 2 comments I want to talk to you about. One is connecting to that sewer. He'd like us to address either raising up the top of the manhole rim or investigate a long-term solution. We're not really going into the resource area, so we don't really want to talk too much about the beaver dams. We are anxiously interested in what the downgrading at Rosewood work would have on any impoundment effect in that back area. It is in the floodplain. It's 6 linear feet. Again, that's digitized from available mapping. Being at the terminus of that perennial stream, there's no associated floodplain elevation, so it's just a area. It says there it is. So we're taking a conservative that it's 6 linear feet of pipe that would be installed actually within the floodplain. Again, we're not changing any grades, so no compensatory storage is proposed. And then the last one would be riverfront. It's about 95 feet from the proposed riverfront down to the manhole. Again, that makes about, at least it's within the outer 100 foot of the 200 feet, but it does propose about 2,000 square feet of riverfront disturbance. Unfortunately, the alternatives analysis, depending on what side you're on, are pretty limited. We are required to connect to that sewer manhole due to state and local regulations. The other disturbance through BVW is actually a proposed looping of a water line. Again, 2 years ago, you talked about the Nashua Street Extension project. That is actually, again, just off of this page right here, part of that project. Mark actually asked for he requested the possibility of a water line being provided from the proposed cul-de-sac to this development, because we were in the preliminary stages as well, to allow the creation of a loop of the water line. So, unfortunately, there is a wetland that we have to cross to complete that connection. As it's currently proposed, it comes onto the property, up gradient, and then we have it angled going across the wetlands so that it can come over to a property line so that someone can build their house and not have an easement going through it. This exact route is still open to interpretation based on trying to save as many trees as possible. So this line would be a dig, install, and then replace, and allow to be reestablished as well. Again, this is about 2,000 square feet of BVW disturbance, which is about 80 feet long and 25 feet wide. Again, 25 feet wide, just with the machinery that would be needed to get through there. There are some alternatives based on the alignment where that number might be down, but I don't want to tell you 2 feet and have you guys come out and see 10. So really, that's the really fast overview of the entire project. I can certainly answer any other questions. I can talk about the drainage of the development if you'd like. I can throw out a blanket statement that all runoff from impervious surfaces is directed to a series of VMPs. The roadway itself goes into deep sump putted catch basins, manholes that are then gone into infiltration basins. Pleasant Street, for example, the center of the teardrop cul-de-sac is an infiltration basin that has a control structure that overflows. That comes cross-country and goes into a secondary infiltration basin, which is the closest disturbance to the BVW in the back. Trevor Trail is actually designed to have a high point in the middle, so half of it flows to Pleasant Street and again follows that same, whereas half of it, the other half comes down to the cul-de-sac, deep sump putted catch basin, grass channel, and water quality swale before it gets into the wetland that again flows into the larger system. Each of the common driveways, the town won't be responsible for any BMPs that are proposed on that, but each of them have been accounted for. Lot 8 and 9 common driveway has been super elevated to direct the water to the left as you're driving down the driveway, come into a grass channel and then a landscaped hooded catch basin, which again will go across country and get into an infiltration basin. Lot 1 and 2's common driveway, which has a name of Riley Jane Lane. That's kind of its own world off to the side. That driveway is super elevated from left to right. The right side of that pavement will have a trench drain, just stone with a pipe. To collect any sheet runoff from the abutting properties and the driveway itself, which will direct flow to a low point and then discharge into a sand filter. The sand filter is directly up gradient of our proposed replication area to kind of further make sure that any of the water that surface flows into it is as treated as possible. And that discharge gets into the wetland system that again flows off the property here, but eventually after the rail trail joins up with the larger system. Talking with the planning board, we met with them last Thursday. Their review comments are very limited. They were in support of all 4 waivers that we were asking for. The waivers that we were asking for dealt with reducing impervious areas, pipe sizes to be more in line with their hydraulic need rather than a blanket size, things like that. We didn't have the DPW comments at that time, so we've continued that meeting until June 2nd. Comments from the other town boards were just reminders that some of the portions of this property under 61A tax protection, we understand the process of taking those pieces of land out of that. And then the, what was the other comments? The other comment was, I believe the police chief didn't make a specific comment. He just feels that the current trend regarding street lighting is a mistake. We discussed that with the planning board, and they actually agreed not to put site lighting on the development. The last comment that I wanted to talk with you about, Mark's comments were 3 pages. They were primarily put a water gate here, move this tree over there kind of thing. The 2 were really the sewer connection, possibly that affected you. The second one was that he didn't like, or he has requested, that the proposed island, grass island within the Trevor Trail cul-de-sac be removed. He'd like that to be all pavement. That would add about 2,000 square feet of impervious surface. The drainage system can certainly handle it. His comment is that cul-de-sacs, even though the cul-de-sac is to the town standards dimensions, he finds it troublesome to plow. So he'd like it to be removed. We haven't discussed with him about that as of yet, but again, that would really be the only one of his comments that affected you directly.
Well, thank you for going through them all.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go down the street, if you will. So as I come down Pleasant Riley J. Lane, we said that the road obviously crosses through the BVW.
The Pleasant Street itself doesn't.
Well, I'm sorry, by road I mean Riley Jane Lane, that.
Correct, the common driveway. Yes.
So Riley Jane Lane is a common driveway, not a street.
Correct.
Okay.
The reason that it has a name is due to the existing mailing in the neighborhood. The abutting property, the Watsons, is mailing address of 112 Pleasant. The existing house is 114. So unless we started playing nice and started doing A's and halves and things like that, the solution, discussing with the fire and police, is to have a name for that of that property.
Fair enough.
So yes, it does cross.
So the shared common driveway known as Riley Jane Lane
Correct.
crosses over the BBW, and that's also where your replication is.
Incorrect, sorry. So this is the crossing.
Yep. And you,
The replication is here.
well, I'm sorry, so it's down there.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
off that.
down. Yes, it's not immediately adjacent as
No,
is
no, no,
usually.
right, but it's off of that first.
Correct.
Okay, is that the only replication on the property?
Yes.
Okay. So I continue in, the existing house is the existing house. Lot 4 is out of the BBW.
Correct. The
Lot-
only thing in lot 4 that is part of the BUW is the existing horse barn.
In the back.
Yeah, we've configured the lot so that is actually a compliant structure, so that's intended to remain
Perfect. Lot 5 is outside of the BBW.
in its entirety, yes.
Lot 6, the house, the lot are outside of the BBW. However, the back part of the yard is in the BBW. Is there grading for that
The
today?
grading actually stops right at 100 feet,
Perfect, okay. Lot 7,
which is actually closer to the cul-de-sac.
right.
It's totally outside the 100 foot.
Lot 8 behind it is inside, no, it's outside the BBW.
It's, the house and the grading is outside the BVW as to the resource area in the back, correct.
Okay,
However, the access to it clips the 100-foot buffer from the bulbous.
right, the shared driveway for lot 8 and 9 clips.
Correct.
Okay,
9 does have the sidewalk and tree clearing in the 100-foot buffer.
and it looks like it bumps up against it, the back of the house bumps up against it.
Correct. But the house is outside of the 100-foot.
Okay, come back up the road. Lot 11 is outside,
Correct, in its entirety.
so is lot 12. Well, lot 12, some of the grading is in.
Yeah, so this small green area here is in the 100-foot buffer. Also on lot 12 is part of one of the BMPs for the roadway itself.
Right, I saw that, comes around, yeah, in light green, okay? Lot 13, the house is entirely, the house itself and most of the yard are entirely inside the buffer.
Correct.
And the drive.
Yeah,
Actually, the driveway is, yes, sorry, I missed that.
Yep.
100-foot coming from this little fender here. Yep.
lot 14, just some of the backyard grading nips the buffer,
Mostly just, yeah, yep.
okay? Lot 15 is outside?
It's clear.
No,
It's clear, it's clearing.
yeah, some of the, it's clipped by the other.
It's actually proposed to leave a treed finger
Okay,
along, so there is some that could possibly be removed, but again, we don't know. We showed a tree line, but it might be 4 trees that have some canopy.
so lot 15 is minimal then, so.
Yep,
Lot 16 though, lot 16 is a tough one, that's entirely in the buffer.
it is entirely within the buffer. Actually, a little portion of the garage is outside. Can I get credit for that? And
Not when your entire driveway ends.
fair enough. That driveway does come close. There is a portion that is within the 25-foot buffer. At the closest disturbance, it is 5 feet from wetland flag 208. Just to talk real quick about that wetland pocket. As you can see, this is the existing culvert that's proposing to be replaced.
Right.
This flares up, and then there's a defined channel that lead directly to, I keep calling them the mysterious pipes, that come somewhere from some drainage closer to the high school. This wetland has actually been created because that pipe has been either crushed or blocked
At the culvert?
at the culvert. So traditionally what's happening, again, not blaming the DPW or anything, but just from a standpoint of plowing, when plowing comes down Pleasant Street, what's happening is they get to the driveway and that's the first drop off. So everyone over the years has been putting snow here. The snow has sand and salt, and that's slowly built up on that area. So that's why this area has kind of expanded. that wetland flag, we saw it, we all agreed that it's a BVW. I'm not saying that it's, not a wetland. I guess if we're gonna try and classify pre-wetlands versus functional wetlands, this isn't really a natural wetland.
See
per se.
New Orleans. So, right, so what we're saying is that when the culvert goes in, you're going to,
It may potentially, it may, but what, in the same breath, I want to say that, I also want to say that I'm not saying I'm blowing right through the wetlands as it is. That driveway is tucked as far away as possible. And that driveway is set at existing grade, so minimal disturbance is really going to be needed to construct it.
okay. So we just covered all the houses, the driveway disturbance. As you noted, you have structure for the road, stormwater, between lots 12 and 13.
Correct.
And then you indicated that the center of the teardrop island is a structure,
Correct.
or is it a forebay, if you will?
It's the closest part is the forebay,
Yep,
and then the larger part of the bulb is an infiltration basin.
okay. Did you say that it then extends off of there into lot 10? Did I misunderstand?
No, it has an overflow structure,
Okay,
which is then piped alongside the same access of the sewer,
yep,
which comes down to a manhole and then angles off into a second infiltration basin at the back part of lot 6.
okay. Is that the box that I can see here?
Yes,
Okay. And that's a structure, is that?
that's another forebay and a infiltration basin. When you say structure, you mean the actual concrete structure?
Well, it's an awful pretty rectangle.
It is.
Drew it yourself?
There is a rumor around the office that I like designing things to make them look like other things. So, one time I made one look like an eagle. Can't remember where I did it, but it was pretty funny.
So on sheet 5.3, we see the teardrop structure at the end of Pleasant Street. We see your sewer, we see your stormwater. And then there's another tie-in for stormwater, so that's the...
That's the landscape catch basin.
Right, from off of lot 8.
Right off of the driveway of lot 8 and 9.
Okay, so that's a swale?
There's a swale up top that goes into, I'll call it a micro pool. It's about 6 inches deep. It does have, it's actually 12 inches deep. There's a low area, so if it ever does get blocked, it will be allowed to overflow and then continue down the slope.
Perfect. Okay, and that dumps out into the infiltration basin number 2.
Correct. Well, sediment forebay number 2, but
I'm reading your note. So...
fair enough.
So I've got basin 1, basin 2, and then the structure off the end of off the end of Trevor Trail. Are there any other?
Just the sand filter that handles the thing. I think we kind of talked about that first.
Of Riley J.
But the combination of all those BMPs comply with all the stormwater standards, all the rates for all this. The storms analyzed are less than pre-development rates. TSS is greater than 80% in all the discharge points. The discharge points being, the ultimate discharge from each of the infiltration basin, the water quality soil, or the sand filter itself.
Well, I remember walking the property, and I remember there was quite a bit of pitch, and I'm seeing that on 6.2 at the back of lot 12. I think that's part of what I was remembering, because I think that's that area we came around and then we had to walk back up the hill, right? Toward the house. The existing garage is being taken down?
Yeah, the existing garage is actually right at the driveway entrance of lot 11.
Yeah.
When we came back, we came here to the garage.
Right.
And then came actually towards the dwelling on lot 16.
To the mysterious pipes.
No, we ended up with that. But then we came this way.
Right.
And actually went towards the water line crossing. We spent a lot of time on these wetland flags, even though we're not doing anything, but there's just so many because of the undulating topography. We came down and into the easement, the power line easement.
Right. That was
And then from the power line easement, we actually hopped around into the field, and then came back into the woods because this area was really thick. So this is the one where we came up the hill and then down. And back here was the really, really, really thick stuff.
right.
I believe this is where the pup found the extra ball, if you remember. And then we came back into the field, got soaked, then we jumped over here. This is all existing clearing.
Right.
We kind of came up across this channel. In the woods, we couldn't see any of those flags, but it was very clear that there was a channel there. Came back and around and did this, and then we actually started the leave and forgot about that guy, and so we ended our entire walk with the mysterious pipes area.
Right. I think didn't we even we went all the way over to, did we go to Nashua Street after that?
Yeah,
To try and see if we could find him?
it was actually easier to come this way, and
Right.
then we looped down this way, and we actually walked right by them, and we were getting in the cars, and Mr. Crossman reminded us about that other flags. So, when the ANRAD was closed out, there was a decision. There were 4 flags, actually, on that side that we couldn't see. There was 4 flags here. There were 4 flags actually within the power easement,
Right.
and there was another 4 flags on this side. I've reflagged these as well as checked most of the lines adjacent to the disturbance. I didn't reflag these again. They'd have to go through 3 wetlands to get there. We have made sure that, if you guys want to come out and take a walk to see where we're proposing things, we can certainly fumble our way around, and we know the flags are around. There are a number of existing kind of features. The garage, I think we could find our way around if you guys wanted to do a walk as soon as Saturday.
Well, I think we'd really want to see, excuse me. I think we'd really want to see where the areas were that we were talking. So for instance, so lot 16 would be a pretty important one to see where the house was.
Right? And
Just 4 corners.
So that is actually right adjacent to the cart path. So if we found this flag in the cart path, we could turn around and say, there you go.
Well, I think based on our previous walks, we'd really just want to see the 4 flags to define where it was. It's hugely helpful for us.
Okay. How thick that area is, we can hang 4 flags, it doesn't mean we're gonna be able to find it when we get up there.
We'll trust you to have a GPS if we need to.
Oh boy, that's a lot.
So, lot 16 where the house is entirely inside. Lot 15, if we had just a location of that back corner where it brushes up against the buffer. So
Yeah.
one of the benefits that we had with Crabtree was that he had cleared an awful lot. He had come to us, his first applications all involved roadways, which were extensive, unlike your roadway.
Mhm.
And so as a result, he had cleared an awful lot, so when we came in, it was easy to say, there's the road, that's where the house is gonna be.
Yeah.
This is obviously significantly harder as we walk back into the area to try and locate why the house is placed where it is, what are the effects, etc. So it's tricky. Lot 16 is a no-brainer because it's entirely in the buffer.
That's fine.
There's no question about that when we have to,
We can do 16, 15, I think we can fumble our way around.
if we just knew where the corner was, we'd be
Yep.
able to figure it out.
Yep.
Okay? So we said 14 was the backyard. Nothing for 13, 12 was grading.
You want to see 14?
No, 14 is just the backyard.
Yeah.
It just catches the corner of the backyard.
13.
13 is in.
Oh,
The whole house is in.
13's in and also has the
Yeah.
water line.
So we'd want 13 so we could see it. your drainage off of Trevor Trail is entirely in the buffer, right? Am I reading this correctly?
Everything on the surface is, yes.
Yeah. All right, 11, 12 are out.
Are you looking for the center line of the swale of those or something?
If we just had a mark to get us into that area so we knew where we were talking about.
Well, we can start, just to make sure we're not missing anything. That clearing to construct that water quality swale is going to open up into the clearing of the power line easement. So we could come in from that side. That's actually how I went in to do the testing for it.
I gotcha.
So that one we could, again, using the wetland flags and things, that would be pretty easy to find.
And the pit.
Yeah, in the pit.
Okay. 12 and 11, pretty much out. 9, it brushes up against.
We did, yeah.
8. So I think it would be helpful. So the driveway, the shared driveway for 8 and 9, if we could just know where the driveway was so we can see where it passes through the 100-foot there.
That bend.
Yeah. Do you have stakes for Pleasant Street now?
No.
Okay.
But again, it goes right through the pool.
Yeah.
And then takes a left and goes, it's actually right adjacent to the tree line, the right side, so. And I did a couple of pits in the middle as well, so we can kind of identify that.
So you'd be able to identify where the teardrop space was? Okay.
Yes.
All right, 5 and 4 are out. And then 1 and 2, obviously, because it comes straight off the road, if we can see where it cuts through.
Yep.
You indicated that there's going to be a culvert for that driveway?
Yeah, so the existing 12-inch culvert will be replaced with a 15-inch RCP
At Pleasant Street.
at under Pleasant. And then it's only about 50, less than 50, until you get into another 15-inch culvert under the Riley Jane Lane, just to provide the open continuity of the swale.
Got it.
The replication area, again, is right next to wetland flags. That's actually the clearing limit as well, coming from the existing house around the existing tree line, hopping over the channel and the power lines. So we could certainly show that pretty easily. It is pretty thick as far as seeing the entire common drive. We can certainly see the part where we're filling.
Yeah.
Over here is where we're starting to get farther out into the 100-foot buffer. So we could easily show you the filling and where the houses go. I don't know if we really need to connect the dots. We're out there, so.
No. I'm more interested in, where the culvert's going to be. And then the sand filter and the replication would be good, right? Because you don't go back inside the buffer.
Nope. Well, no. The houses are both wholly without.
Hoses are out, and then is the road a little bit in? Does the road nip back into it?
So
Like it touches?
the bend past the house on lot 1 where it bends to the right, that's actually in the pit. If you remember going up around the corner, that was where they excavated for material for backfilling the foundation and just kind of left it. I remember Becky and
I remember that.
someone else, I can't remember who though. I went over and took a peek at it, so again, kind of natural features, we can kind of see where it's at.
Okay. Did you write those down as we went?
More or less.
I got 2. No, I'm just
I can start over. Okay. So the basis of the application is for the roadway, for extending Pleasant Street, Trevor Trail, Riley Jane Lane. The water connection is a much trickier one, obviously, because that goes out to Nashua Street Extension. So I am happily bereft of knowledge of where Nashua Street Extension ended up, other than I know no work has happened there. So,
Let's wrap it up.
okay. So, when would you be planning to do that water main? Because I remember that runs through the thickest and toughest part to walk through.
So, the way that the development is currently figured, if it wasn't built all at once, Pleasant Street would actually be the natural phase one of the development, where Trevor Trail, being that it's kind of has its own drainage, things like that, would be the natural phase two. Whether or not the development is done all at once or in phases is yet to be decided. And after saying all that, how big of a stink Mark makes about saying you're not looping till how long is kind of a deciding factor as well. So I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately.
I would imagine that would be something he's thinking as we speak.
Correct. I will say that as proposed, our water line is actually showing a connection to the proposed Pleasant Street water line.
Or National Street, yeah.
No, actually, the Pleasant Street connection is actually for the plan that he has out for an RFI now to construct the water line from Main Street all the way up to the end.
A brand new water main.
Brandy new. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. But there's also no water main in Nashua Street right now.
Correct. So that is also part of that project where the Nashua Street, he tied into what we proposed. This one is tying into what he proposed. Yeah. Carts and horses.
Okay. And now the ugly part, the sewer. So on page... I-3. All right, so 5.3 we have, if I wrote them down correctly, floodplain, BBW, and riverfront area,
Correct.
all involved in our sewer connection.
Correct.
And did I hear you say, and I can't read this invert number if I wanted to, did I hear you say that Mark wanted to raise that?
So right now, the rim elevation is at 236 and the sump is supposed to be at 230. And we found that on a cold day, chipping through ice with a metal detector. So that is currently, or at least when we surveyed it, underwater. His comment to that is generally beaver dam activity in the area has raised the water level, and he just kind of used a blanket statement to say that he wants this project's help in any way, shape, or form to try and address that specifically at that connection point. That connection point is the natural kind of access to that structure.
Right.
As it is, and what we'll be proposing, we propose a gravel drive off of Pleasant Street, cul-de-sac down so we can get to it. I will say that this is, as it shoots off the top of the page, 3 manholes before we get to the hospital. Up at a much higher elevation.
Sure. Okay. So between lot 7 and lot 6, there's a gravel drive or a gravel passway through?
Yep. If you change to 6.3, you can actually see the limits of the grading. The 10% slope gravel drive coming down from the and then it will just be the natural path that's right at the edge of the existing tree line, which didn't print right on that sheet. It's dots if you're looking for it. You look confused.
No, I'm just trying to make sure I'm reading it correctly. So
there is a little bit of difference.
what I love about this is when I have time to highlight these first or get colors on the screen.
So Yeah.
Makes
So-
life a lot easier.
So the difference between 5.3 and 6.3 is 6.3 shows the drainage structures dark, whereas 5.3 shows the sewer dark.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just trying to make sure that I was reading these lines, so the dash line that is the 100-foot comes over and catches into these other lines.
Yep.
I was just having trouble discerning which
Yeah.
line was which.
Yeah, so there's a kind of a longer dash line, that's an easement line, then there's a thicker dash dot line,
Right.
that's the 100-foot buffer.
Right.
There's a thinner dash dot, which is the limit of work that's proposed. There's another thick dash dot, which is the 25. The dot, small dash with the triangles is the wetlands. And then as we keep going into lot 10, the really squiggly line that you can see extending
Yeah.
everywhere, that's the floodplain line. And the riverfront line is a long dash dot, which,
Then comes up just above your sewer.
correct.
Gotcha. Well, at least it wasn't boring.
Oh, just because we're talking about resource areas, there is natural habitat that clips the site. It's on lot 1. It's 2,000 square feet. Literally, I can cover it up with my phone. No work is proposed over there, and they've already sent an email saying that it's not even a no take. It says you don't even qualify for a review. Go away. It's pretty much what I said.
Formal version.
Yeah, more full.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good.
Jess, do you have any questions?
Good.
George?
Nicely presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Nah.
Save.
Okay. When do you think you might be able to have it staked?
I'd love to do it this Saturday, but I don't think we're gonna have it staked by then. There may be a possibility where I might be able to go out and hang flags in the location. There won't be a survey location. I'd really like to get the water line staked out so that we can have a educated conversation about kind of, we'd like to protect this tree installation. So with all that being said, while I'd love to do it Saturday, I think timing wise, unfortunately, we're out to the 21st.
Well, I can tell you if we're giving up 2 hours on the 21st in the morning, I can't give up any more time that day.
Fair enough. Anybody up for a weeknight stroll?
Bill, is there any way we could just plan so that we're back here for the next meeting? If possible.
So the problem with a volunteer commission is we only have Saturdays to walk stuff and be able to do it adequately. We've actually walked this property a couple times in the rain so that we met schedules. There's just no time. I wish that unfortunately I'm putting all my cards on the table. The 21st is my parents' anniversary. It's my if it was possible for me to skip out for more than just the morning, I would.
You don't have it forever.
If Calvin buys a box of Joe, would you do the Sunday?
On the 22nd. I know I can't do the 22nd. I don't know if other people can. But
So
It's not
just
Input's critical.
well, everyone's playing poker poorly. We'll throw our cards on the table as well. Talking with the planning board, due to some of the members on that board and shifting around, there is a hope to close that hearing on the 2nd. What I would ask, or what I was going to ask, we don't even have a file number, so we couldn't close tonight, and we want to revise the plan anyways. What I'm hoping to do is address Mr. Wetzel's comments over the next week and to come in on the 26th with an update on what we revised in the plan, kind of general changes. I'm not anticipating a whole lot, but at least you kind of get abreast of what your conversations were. even on that meeting, I was going to ask you to continue until your next meeting on the 9th, June 9th. The reason for that is that if a draft conditions is signed on the 9th, the 10-day period would actually coincide with the 20-day period of the decision on the 2nd. So again, I'm kind of holding wishful thinking. So I don't know if there's any sticking points based on the plans that you're seeing that you might want to kind of, you know, that you would be interested in with the sidewalk, that maybe moving the sidewalk out until the, what's the 28th?
Which is the holiday weekend.
Awesome. Oh, cute.
I didn't even think about that till it came up on my calendar.
But I guess what I'm saying is if people are willing to kind of speak up a little bit more now, to have any of their concerns kind of in mind as we revise the plan, we could try to address those and then see the real world during the site walk.
Well, the benefit is we've had the ANRAD, so the only person at this table who's never, the only two people at this table who've never walked the property intensely are Bonnie and Brian. So I have a very good feel for what the wetlands are, and I bet you as we walk through, I can remember places where we stumbled and staggered over flags. What I really want to see laid out are any of the properties where the house is entirely in the buffer, because that's always one of our primary focuses. And then the water main and the sewer are huge, especially the sewer, because it literally couldn't be in a worse spot to do a worse thing in a worse place. Other than that, it's great.
I thought you'd be more worried about the water line, to tell you the truth.
No, I'm concerned about the water line, but at the same time, the water line is in and done, whereas the sewer, you're talking about raising up the manhole, we're talking about making a path down into the space.
No, there's already an existing path. So
I don't remember that path.
Yeah, that's the path we used when we found the couch in the hunting lodge.
Nice.
The hunting shed, I guess would be the better way to say it.
Trapping shed. You're right, there was a pathway, but not a gravel road to
We're not
provide
proposing
access.
a gravel road all the way down. We're only proposing a gravel road where we need to construct it for the slope. Other than that,
Grass.
Yeah, going
Okay.
back to natural states,
Okay.
existing grades and all that happy stuff.
The way I look at the water main is it's one and done.
Okay.
And when it's in, the anticipation is that, you know, hopefully it doesn't have to get dug up for a very long time or worked on for a very long time.
Yep.
So, and we try very hard to be open to things that Mr. Wetzel is looking for that improve his public works, so. Okay. Really, that's it, based on our walks and seeing how you've avoided the areas that, you've really got two houses that are in the buffer. That's it. I don't like the driveway to lot 16, but I'd rather take a look at it when we're there and remind myself about that wetland, pretty or not, to figure out what's happening at Flag 208, so.
Good.
But I do, from the walks that we had in the past, I do remember the property pretty well, so. All right. So no one had any questions? Okay. Oh,
When we have the walk, could you provide each of us a color print like that?
I'll try. I'll try, but you have to promise me not to complain that you can't read it.
I can't make that promise, but what I can say.
You bring the magnifying glasses, that might work out.
What I can say is that really does help a lot for the walk. So.
We still haven't talked about when we'll walk in.
No, that's what I was just gonna say. All right.
You could always not do a walk. Just trying to explore all the options.
I appreciate the way you're offering it. That is very kind of you.
Sacrifices, you know.
All right. Is anyone around the weekend of the 28th? The holiday weekend?
Yeah.
I don't even know if
I don't know if I'd say that out loud. Bonnie, are you around that weekend?
We're debating whether we're going camping or not. I don't know. I'm not
Well, it's
sure.
always good to get a later start on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I know a very
True.
nice wooded location in Ayer.
I
Yes, but
live
is
on
camping allowed?
one. Camp in my backyard.
Sounds like it already started.
Okay, so the 28th, even though it's the holiday weekend, seems to work for us, if that works for you.
It'll be
It'll be tough for
memorable.
Memorable? Oh,
It's an awful word to hear at this meeting.
okay. Why don't we say 8 o'clock?
528 at 8.
5:28 at 8. So we'll meet at the end of Pleasant Street? Right there at the, oh, actually, right, I'm imagining everything's gone. At the garage, we'll meet at the garage.
Yep.
And I can bring the pup again to see if she finds a ball.
You might get lucky.
We'll see. There is a tenant now. I'm not sure if they have dogs.
I can move her home. She's getting older.
Mm.
On that rate, most of us should stay back.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll meet at 8 o'clock in the morning on the 28th. And set.
And I'll send Brian emails to him, kind of update. Is there any opposition to removing the island in the cul-de-sac at Mark's request?
Which cul-de-sac is that? The
The
Trevor?
Trevor Trail, the smaller one, right now, that's a 100-foot wide diameter, there's only 24 feet of pavement, so there's a 25 or 50-foot diameter grass area.
What's the objection in terms of what makes it hard to plow? Like, did he get into like the fact that there were curbs in the way, and like, could we just talk about pulling the curbs out, or is that, you know?
No, it's more.
If I may speak plainly, my guys are going to wreck it, and I have to come back and fix it every year.
Thank you for saying that.
I know what the issue is. Because what'll happen is that they'll come in and they'll start to do the plowing, and they'll push the snow up in the middle like that, and it'll destroy the island, and every year they'll have to come back and fix it.
And then they'll take it out there themselves.
Because there's no good way to plow in those areas. That's why.
Mm.
If I were to guess.
Sounds pretty educated.
So maybe a permeable paver there would be a good idea. If they're gonna plow the snow up in the middle, no, bad idea? Okay.
He's not gonna let that go because the hedge, the transition between is also gonna get ripped up by the plow, and that's even more expensive than replacing grass.
Does it need to be 100 feet in diameter?
That's a fun question. That's the town requirements. So,
Can it just not be paved? There's like a dirt hole in the
no, the town requirements is roadway as well. Yeah, the 100 feet is so that fire truck can get down there.
I know. No,
Unfortunately. So, the width is because of the emergency vehicles. The center is more because he just doesn't want to fix it later on. We made the other one.
He's right, the damage is inevitable, that's not a question, but.
I mean, we did propose sloped granite to try and add a little bit of a better variant, but
I suppose it'd be a great place to, you know, put up the hockey rink in the middle of the summer.
All right.
thought that would be your reaction.
Well, I think in this case, the entire center of that roadway is outside of the buffer. And so if it can be addressed with the stormwater, as disappointing as it is, it's fine.
Good.
So, it's a lot more pavement, but you've accounted for it. And
We're
Okay.
talking about 1,200 feet of road, another 2,000 square feet.
okay. There are folks who are here. John, are you here for this application?
No, I was here for a discussion about lawn maintenance.
Should have slipped him $10 to get in at
Well, I
7:15.
thought it was scheduled for 7:15, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and say that this application was in a week before the previous.
Thank you.
There's more to be discussed. Hold on. So just so we're clear, there are two other folks here. Questions? Sir, are you here for this application?
No.
entertaining.
It was, I thought I had an 8 o'clock, so.
Well, it's all going downhill from here.
Yeah.
Okay. If no one has anything else, so we have scheduled a site walk for this application on the 28th at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing to May 26, 2016.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
5:28.
So on the 26th, we'll give you an update and then walk in the next couple days. Pretty much.
Yes.
So we're gonna see each other again before we walk, just so that everyone is aware.
Oh, that's perfect. That's right. Yes, well, unless you want to continue beyond that.
Nope.
I'm assuming to your benefit, right, to continue the 26th.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a funny evening.
Certainly learned a lot.
Well, good.
It's only getting more fun.
All right. So let's go through this quickly. Our 8 o'clock, we have a discussion about 22 Pine Ridge Road trash on the Pine Meadow Conservation Land. Good evening, sir.
Hello,
Your name is?
Matt Gustafson.
Matt, did we meet with you before?
I was here a couple of weeks ago. We had a walkthrough at my house with Jess, George, and Bonnie.
Okay. So what can you folks tell me about it?
Fence in the back of his yard butts the conservation land.
I didn't expect you to
The
be.
previous owner
Sorry.
They
had
told me I didn't have to. so
dumped a lot of
just
stuff
figured
back there. There's
Fair
piles of old firewood,
Education.
mostly rotted, lumber piles, piles of stockade fencing, some containers. There's a pickup truck cap that's covering a bunch of building
I
material.
don't know what's underneath there.
There's animals underneath that.
There
That's what's
very well
underneath
could be
that.
some
There's
grass,
animals
yeah.
underneath
Yeah.
that.
So,
A general assembly of mess.
yes.
Okay.
And I talked to Mark, and generally speaking, he was like, if you guys want me to go out, I'll go have a look. That's fine. He had some reservations about access and sort of keeping everything kosher, I suppose, and not mucking around with it being the conservation land and it being your land, and but I said you were good with him going through, and
Oh, if you saw the yard, you can drive
Yeah.
a tractor on it.
so I think his plan at some point is to get one of his guys to knock on your door, but that was kind of a loosey-goosey on the phone
Yeah, I've talked to him a
plan.
couple of times over
Yeah.
the past few years, so it's kind of been the same answer, but, it's no hurry, you always got more pressing matters to deal with, so, you know what I mean? So like I said, I've already cleaned up a lot back there, I need to chop some of the crap out of the way to get some more tires out, but,
Oy.
I don't want to step on your toes, and I don't want to get arrested cleaning it up, so.
Very much
Well, that and you've got
Help me out, then we'll,
and the trees. You said Jess, he's got
There
some.
were-
We'd be able at 7:15.
There were a couple of trees that were distinctly leaning over more, and actually.
Towards the house?
Yeah,
toward the garage.
towards the garage, that one, and I think, one of the reasons you contacted us was last fall. A different tree further in here had fallen over. Did it go over your fence?
No, it just
Or-
landed on a pile
It
of
landed on the pile.
stuff that was.
But these two are with closer, and if you just press that little arrow there, you can see.
Is it panoramic?
Well, I move around, but
Oh.
you see the two that are sloping.
Yeah, it's not nauseating at all.
Sorry.
Steady hands, yeah.
Okay, so that's the truck cap.
Mm.
Yeah, you're lucky there's not a person living under that truck cap.
Yeah, there could be a couple of bodies for all I know.
But the two trees are leaning over.
Sure,
slightly
sure, sure.
Compared to the others.
Okay.
And he had wondered about, if anything could be done about that.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
where are we in relationship to a resource area? It's just the conservation land on the edge there?
Right.
Okay. Can anyone see a reason to not remove those two trees to protect the house and garage?
No.
How would that be removed?
Yeah. Do you want to just drop them and leave them?
Well, so are they, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Is the garage right up against the property line?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a stove? Are you burning
The
wood?
neighbors do. I got some split wood from, what he left behind before, so,
Behind the cap,
The guy
yeah.
across the street has a wood burning stove, he's been using it, I have a fire pit, so if you wanna drop it, I'll cut it up, I mean, whatever is best for you guys and budgets and all that stuff, I'll be more than happy
But
to do whatever.
we don't have a budget to drop them.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but
All right.
what I'm offering is, and what I think makes sense is that, if you have 2 trees that are leaning toward the house and there's a possibility they're gonna crash on the house or the garage, then it
Mhm.
makes sense to drop the 2 trees, hopefully using a professional. And then, since obviously the wood is going to land in your yard, I don't have a huge problem with cutting the wood up and burning it. It's going to end up in your yard. So
Okay.
unless someone has a different opinion on that. I mean, if they were going to fall back into the conservation area, then they're food. But if
Right,
they're falling your way,
Yeah,
they should be
they're
burned.
Going toward my way, yeah.
So, okay. So I don't have any problem with that as long as you dispose of the brush responsibly, which I assume is don't throw it back over the fence on top of the
Oh,
other
yeah,
stuff
no,
that's out there.
that will be.
It seemed to be counterproductive. Thank you for asking about the removal of the trash. You should definitely continue to work with the DPW on that, and I'd even go so far as to recommend, have you sent emails to Mark?
I think my wife has, I'm not too tech savvy, so.
No, that's,
yeah.
I would just do it by email because phone conversations are great, but emails are something you can follow back up and say, hey, remember I sent you this email?
Yeah, true, yeah.
The DPW is always busy, but they're also helpful, so
Okay.
hopefully you'll hear back from him. But no, we have no issue with that. Would you be so kind as to mark down to send an email to Mr. Wetzel telling him that we have no issue with the DPW removing material at 22 Pine Ridge Road, and that we are looking forward to having that area cleaned? That would be huge.
And then just for clarification, the downing the 2 trees, that would be
Mr. Gustafson, yep.
Okay,
You can do that without permission.
okay.
Please be
We
careful.
can't, we don't have.
Right, okay.
So, okay.
Cool. So then, if you don't see somebody from DPW, I don't know, in some amount of time that you think is
Yeah, we'll
reasonable,
sell,
give me a
we'll shoot
buzz.
an email
Or
or
call me and I can call them too, and you can,
Okay.
you can loop me into being, an errand boy a little bit. It's all right.
Well,
Okay.
here's an idea. So why don't you have your wife write to Brian?
Okay.
Okay, that on the right on the website it shows under Air Conservation Commission shows our access, our email address.
Mhm.
Your wife can write to Brian and say, our property at 22 Pine Ridge Road. You guys told us it would be okay to remove the material with DPW. Thanks for your support. And then Brian forwards that to the DPW and says, hey, we had our meeting on the whatever the heck the night is, 12th, and the Conservation Commission was in support of this. That way it's all wrapped up in one quick email.
Okay, fantastic.
Fair enough?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good night, guys.
You too.
Too.
Thanks.
All right.
I think you get dibs here, because having not recognized you and then remembering after the fact, I thought that we were just gonna do a pop in,
Yeah.
and yeah, it didn't work out that way, did it?
Sorry.
Mr. Delacour, what can we do for you?
My name is John Delcor. I live at 103 Oak Ridge Drive. What I'm here to talk about is that I want to do some much needed yard maintenance, and I'm not changing my yard. I'm just gonna try to reseed, reloom much neglected front lawn. I have approximate dimensions if you're interested in that. Just gonna.
Just to put this in context a little bit, we talked about basically, I want him to come in here and talk to you guys real fast so that when he has a pile of earth in front of his yard for dealing with the front of the yard, that won't be, necessarily an issue for any resources that, when the neighbor drives by and calls in and, it's all out on the table and everyone's aware, and it doesn't quite rise to the level of an RDA. This is just sort of a polite FYI kind of opportunity.
Thank you, Brian.
No, I appreciate that. So luckily we know Delcour's property from the area across the road where we were at so long ago at Oak Ridge back in 2009, just the other day. So you drop off pretty steeply in all directions, if I remember correctly.
Fairly, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not going anywhere near that. It's just, I'm just gonna reloom and reseed the existing right front corner of the yard. It's just been neglected for so long.
So I'm facing the house.
Correct.
The right front corner is over where you have your boat now, right?
No, it's not even that far.
Not that far?
No, it's just going right to the tree line. It's where the existing lawn is.
Okay.
It's just gotten so terrible over the years because I haven't had time to maintain it. I'm gonna have a horticultural guy, this Kazajan guy that works in the area. He's gonna come in, reloom, reseed, and I have a earth walkway that comes under the deck, it's around the front yard, we're just gonna clean that up. And that's basically the extent of the work, I just can't do it myself.
No, I very much appreciate you bringing it up, and I'm glad we talked about it. That way, if anybody
Right, yeah,
calls
he's
in.
been great, I called him a couple of times, we talked about what I was doing, he made the recommendation, just come in and present.
Yeah, because
what I'm
piles of
excited.
soils and driveways.
No, it
Right.
freaks everyone out.
Yeah.
Right.
Does anyone have any questions for John? Remember the property.
No.
So remember the two sheds that are up the hill that shouldn't be there?
Yeah.
I remember the man who was storing stuff in those sheds who was told not to.
Yeah.
Right across the street.
Okay.
Had all the stonework
Crossing
done.
Slightly to the left.
So
I'm not changing the size of the lawn, I'm just basically relooming the seeding. And I just want to get it done before the seeding season ends.
based on our discussion and your description, please go ahead. If you have any questions, continue to follow up with Brian.
Yeah,
Great.
and now you
Brian,
can-
thank you very much for your help
Well,
on
yeah.
the phone, he's been great.
I know now if somebody, gets nosy, you can be like, hey, we're good, it's checked, everyone's aware, we're all in the loop.
Awesome, appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope you
Sorry I
enjoyed
kept
the.
it longer than you needed.
No.
Oh, no, we got.
It's quite interesting, you guys do a lot of great work. It's good seeing you.
See you, John.
Take care. I get to meet my neighbor there.
I know. Did you see the big piles of dirt in mine?
Thank
Be
you.
like, don't call on me.
Good night.
Take care. Okay.
Oh, I'm just, hate to go to bed. No, I did want to, you said you know James and Christine Wood, though? But-
Yes.
So the Wood family used to own that pond. We used to ice skate on it when I was a kid. I used to ride my horses in it. And I remember a lot of things, but I'm sure Jim Wood and his brother, Bill, would be able to get all kinds of information because their grandfather used to maintain that pond. So
Well-
it wasn't just one stream going through, it was a big pond.
Well, no, even if you look at the plan, in fact, it's even on the Riley Jane Farm one. You can see the stream comes through, goes around, and goes under. And there's no question whatsoever that, that stream was always there. And so, some of the discussions that we had about, whether that falls under the stream requirements, yeah, I don't know how it wouldn't. It's a blue line on a USGS map. It's kind of the end-all, be-all.
Yeah, beaver ponds don't make it a lake.
Yeah, I'm glad there's a beaver dam there, but it doesn't change the fact that, it's a stream.
Well, I remember when we were with the horses in the water, there was, most of the time when you were in the water, it was just up to the horse's back, but there was that one area where the stream went through that was, actually they had to swim. And it was fun. That's what I remember of it, so.
Well, it's definitely a large area, and it's definitely bigger than it was on the 1969 plan. And if we assume that the 1969 plan was done accurately, and why wouldn't it have been? Because back then, if they needed to take the beaver dam out, they would have just taken the beaver dam out. They wouldn't have talked about it, or there weren't any regulations to follow.
There weren't any regulations back then.
That's what I mean.
From what I remember is Mr. Wood used to break it down every so often, and then actually in dry years, I remember seeing his big tractor in there where he would actually carve out to make it deeper, make the pond deeper.
I wonder if that's why there's a dip there. I wonder if in dry years he actually dug in and pushed the dirt up to fix the beaver dam.
It was a land.
Kind of makes sense.
Oh, Mac.
That was a land barrier with a cutout on one end, and so the water used to go around and then go down that stream that way.
Well, and it just, the first thing it always makes me think of is as soon as you see a land barrier like that in a stream, they must have been harvesting ice, or they kept the water there for a reason. So whether it was irrigation or whatever.
They did it so you could play on it,
It was specifically for ice skating. Yes, that would be my third guess. But
And I do remember when they put in the sewer line too for the hospital, so the Woods remember that also too.
oh yeah, no, we walked that property. We walked that with Ken and Christine back in 2012. It was before we did the Beaver Deceivers, so maybe even 2011.
Yeah. We did the Deceivers in 13.
Right, so it was before that, no, it was 13.
No, 14.
No. It was September 7th, 2013, when we walked that for the Beaver Deceiver. And the reason I know is that it's the
Oh,
day
we
after
walked
Christine's
it for
birthday,
We walked it for the
and I
Deceivers.
got in a lot of trouble for being late for dinner the night
Yeah,
before.
But the Deceivers didn't go in until 2014.
Okay, guys. If you've got energy for reminiscing, you've got energy to keep moving.
No. We're covering the topic. You pointed at the person
She's
in
the only
audience.
person
The
left.
secret is to ignore the audience. That's the secret. Okay.
I haven't met you, by the way, I'm Ruth Benson Schultz, like, you're the only one I haven't met, I guess I've met Bonnie before. when I
Yep,
was there.
yep.
Okay. We can wrap this up in like 15 minutes is my guess, being 11:15 and all. So, Geosyntec Ponds report. We haven't heard anything back from him. He hasn't emailed. Has he written to you?
We have a new draft of the final report, and you have sitting in front of you all of the responses to all of the questions and all of the commentary.
I should read my emails this time.
Yeah, you're up on it.
Yeah.
So, and I had a long chat with him over the phone Tuesday.
I actually. Oh, it's this memorandum. I got it.
And I'm feeling pretty good about how it was put together and what was done, and the way he answered the questions, to my taste, didn't raise any new ones.
All right. He must have sent this just to you originally.
Right.
Because
And
I
then,
checked my email between the 6th and like Monday, and I didn't
right,
see
he
this
sent
in
this to
email.
me, I want to say Friday. And then I came back in Tuesday, had a chat with him about it. There were no issues that arose in the course of our conversation, in the course of my reading. And so then I forwarded it on to you guys, I believe, Tuesday evening.
That's why I didn't see it. Great. I look forward to looking through it.
And so the one follow-up here is that I was talking with some of the folks involved with the master planning project, and who's the conservation person for being involved with that project?
I've never even heard of master planning, unless you're referring
The
to.
town master plan for the 10-year, upcoming 10-year plan.
Oh, the one that Carolyn McCrew is
Yeah,
working with?
yeah.
Jay Morris is
Mhm.
co-chair.
It's a kind of a big deal.
You are.
but- Yeah.
Oh, I am absolutely not.
When I spoke with Jane specifically, she mentioned that every board ought to have a representative involved, and she couldn't recall who from this board was the point person.
I don't think we've ever discussed it.
So now that there's a
They know what's going on.
Geosyntec ponds report that theoretically is pretty close to done, that's a really good opportunity to, master plan it up and bring that.
Bring that.
Takashi's not in the room.
Huge mistake.
Anyway,
Back to tell him at least.
Excellent idea.
So I just saw on the Geosyntec your first email saying he was going to be getting it to us shortly, and I hadn't noticed it.
well, you've been busy with your floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. So all in favor of Takashi? Say aye.
Takashi, so? No, I think you were premature on that.
No, I heard the bubbler.
You sure it wasn't the elf in the closet?
No, he knocked. Nick knocked on that door earlier.
I think you were right.
Have you
on
heard of
that.
the master planning?
Master plan, the town master plan, 10-year plan.
Yeah, every town's supposed to have one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're starting it up again, and they're having a big launch party at the high school, like on the 28th of May or something, and they basically told all of town hall to be there.
I think it's a Saturday.
I might be making up
I
the
think it's
number,
a
but it's
Friday.
the end of, it's coming up
No,
fairly
I
soon.
have it written down somewhere.
But it's within the month, right?
Yeah, it's this month sometime, the end of the month.
And talking with Jane Morris, who's co-chairing, she had mentioned that every commission and board and body needs a representative from them on the master plan club. And we don't think we have one,
No, I know we don't have one.
unless you're right.
He walked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it-
And,
Did you say yes?
I said camping.
Oh, you're kidding.
and I had a long chat.
2017?
Yes, all of it. And I had a long chat with Bob from Geosyntec, and I'm feeling pretty good about what he put together.
There's still a mention of Phragmites. But we can just add an addendum of our own that says, yeah, there's Phragmites. Otherwise, I'm happy.
All right, I look forward to reading through it. I think an important thing about it, my eyes drive me nuts.
Allergies?
Yeah, they weren't bothering me until I came in here, actually.
Mold? Bonnie?
But I'm
George?
So
my eyes too.
Oh, he's allergic to.
I know we're paid up. I think they're entirely paid for their pond survey, aren't they?
No.
No, we owe them about,
16 or 17,000.
yeah, we owe them a fairly decent chunk of change. And at this point, I think I would like to be able at the next meeting to basically say, yeah, we're done. And so, read up
Do
this
that
week.
right now?
No, next meeting.
Yeah.
So read up this week, and if you've got any new complaints or new questions or whatever, you've got a deadline. If you don't say
Well, I
it next.
appreciate that. I would mention that we sent him an email. Hold on a second. I would mention we sent him the email in like March, and he's
Agreed.
responding in May. So a little heavy-handed to say, boy, we better hurry up and get him paid for the stuff that we asked him for information about.
No, I
2
want
months
this ready for the beginning of the master plan process,
How did
for
you
the
make
big
it
launch
like
party.
this? I have no idea. That was months ago.
Yeah, no, I knew about this, but for some
No.
reason I thought I saw
In order to
an email
have it
that said
ready,
he had been
we should
paid.
have kind of a bulleted list
No,
of just
not on this one.
highlights,
Okay.
Yeah,
This
We
is
deferred
Agreed.
that
Just a
payment
nice
until we got the
bulleted-
final.
but to at least have the formal stamp from the Concom
Yeah.
to say, we have this, it's approved, we love it, it's great,
yeah,
it's
Right.
here, for like the launch party for the, yeah.
to talk about.
So this doesn't have to do with the bill, it has to do with the town process.
It's the 24th,
24th.
at the high school.
When are we meeting?
26th.
Damn.
Okay.
So that idea just failed.
So everyone will go through the Geosyntec. I'm glad Takashi had a chance to read it. And we'll all take a look at it for next week. And you were happy as well. You went through it.
Yeah,
I'm submitting one comment.
yeah, the frag.
Phragmites and Pymenophile.
Okay. Did you read it or are you just holding out?
Fragmite what?
You did read it.
Pymenophile.
Okay.
Yes, in the back, right? Yeah.
You had allotted 10 minutes for a Conservation Commission enforcement policy discussion.
Yeah, so last time you weren't here, we did a hard edit, like line by line, word by word. Obviously, that's not going to happen tonight because that'd be crazy. But I incorporated all those changes into this, and the two major changes is that the enforcement authority from CMR 10.0 takes up about a page, and I just copy pasted the whole thing. This is what you asked for, so it just happens to be really big. If you want to keep the whole thing, great. If you want to line edit, that's great. The other big change that I made was based on the experience with Sandy Pond Road this week, where, they didn't necessarily impact the resource. They didn't really, violate anything too outrageous. But there were line items in the order of conditions that they never followed through with, and technically still haven't. And
What are they missing now?
well, like it says, on site you'll have the site plan and the order of conditions.
Did he not have them?
He had the order of conditions. There's no site plan.
How can he not have a site plan if he's building a house?
Well, it's not with the order of conditions. He probably has it somewhere else, but the guys who were on job that day were just there to pour the concrete, and they were just like, what? Who? And so for the documents on site that are in the Ziploc
No.
bag.
So that's the first problem. Okay. I'll get
And
that.
then the other line item was, before any work takes place, let us know so we can inspect stuff. And I don't think that happened the first time when they cut all the trees down, and that definitely didn't happen this time when they started digging holes. So,
I apologize. For some reason, I had it in my head that they had called you to take a look at the silt fence in the first place, because otherwise we would have told his person who was here back when he came in.
right, we were talking about it, and then, somebody does it, we got a phone call, or did one of you guys do it, where it's like, hey, there are trees down that shouldn't be. And then I go out, and I'm like, oh, yeah. That was news.
I think that was, you caught that, or somebody else must have called you on that.
Yeah, and so, that's twice now where like work just happens, and we just so happen then to be less than happy about it. So I put in the violation section specific for line item, it's breach of contract if you miss number 50. So that would be some brand new language to take a look at.
Well, I can tell you, we have absolutely in the past issued violation notices for less. So one of the problems I have with the soil pile, if someone is excavating on the site and they're moving material around and at the end of the day it ends up where it's supposed to be, then I don't have a huge problem with it because there are steps in between that happen. If, however, they're in the middle of the day and it starts pouring rain and they're not being careful with it, then I fully expect to issue a cease and desist until they clean it up and we talk about why they shouldn't have been doing that. So, because we've done it before. We've issued cease and desist before.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't have any problem doing the same thing again in the future. This is particularly onerous. Maybe the lesson to be learned out of this is to say, well, you know what, you live on the pond, here's how it's going to work. And, maybe even to the point of saying, we need to know when the soil piles are going to go. Maybe they even have to let us know in writing when they're going to be doing the excavation and what's going to happen with the soil. Because they're right on the pond. There's no question if he lost his soil pile that day because all of a sudden there was a storm. Not that there was going to be one, but if there had been a storm,
right,
what would have happened? So, especially down that hill.
Right. When I think, when I drove by Saturday morning, when I saw it, is the pile up by the street was just enormous. And then all the piles down by the water's edge. There was no way that you could pull that stuff back and put it up at the top of the hill. So.
Well, you can. It just takes time. That's the problem.
Pretty high though.
Just kind of add to the side of it.
Yeah.
And one of the problems we're always going to run into is when you have a property that is entirely and utterly inside the buffer zone.
Yeah. And it's a small property.
It's a very small property. There's nowhere to put stuff.
Yeah.
You have to truck it off.
Yeah. Well, they had trucked off about 100 yards.
They did, yeah.
But my thought is that when they run into unexpected conditions, like they didn't expect to run into sort of peat-like soil underneath the house, and they started digging for the foundation, what should have been a one-day process turned into several days to get rid of the material. That's where they need to contact us.
They're A, never going to contact us.
Right. B,
for some strange reason, they're always surprised when it isn't clean, dry sand. Always.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
C, the only way to treat it is exactly what we're talking about, which is to say, you know what, your property, your soil, your foundation are all 100% within the buffer. You're pitched down toward the water. You need to submit to us in writing when you're going to do the excavation and how you're going to haul the material off. Period. If you can't do that, we're not issuing an order of conditions. Because we're learning our lesson, that's what you're going to have to do. If you don't like it, that's great. We'll just deny it right now. You can appeal it to the state. Your entire project is 100% within the buffer zone on a pitched piece of property toward a pond. Good luck. We'll deny you under our bylaw. Have a nice day.
No, let's not do that. Not until we have a new bylaw. Anyway, so just take this home, mark it up so that I can bring you another version to the next meeting, and eventually this will be...
Well, so that's probably a good thing for us to talk about. So do we have anything on the agenda for next meeting?
The two that we just continued.
Yeah.
The geosyntech ponds report. And there's a project that someone's looking to do for June, and that's for June. I think it's open.
Have they already submitted?
No. They were just asking me. They're trying to get their submittal deadline sorted out.
Okay. We're not hearing anyone else. So one of the things that's going to happen, so we've only just got started on the notice of intent for Rosewood Ave.
They'll be there. Yeah. We'll see lots of them.
Well, my feeling is going to be that I understand Calvin's thought process on it, but I would not be surprised if when we talk to the state, that they suggest that we, follow other avenues.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were surprised about the stream crossing standards, personally.
That's a whole other discussion. So if we're going to hear both of them and talk about geosyntech and talk about the enforcement policy, that should literally be the end of the meeting, because it can't go like this every meeting.
Oh, no, this was insane. I did not see that one coming.
If
I
it
knew they'd
says
be
Calvin
big, but
Moore,
still.
If it says Calvin Moore, it's gonna be one of those properties that, has a lot of stuff going on with it. I'm still amazed we only had the people.
This is homework, and if you want to drop it off in the mailbox in town hall, I can just keep this ball moving so I can get it to the lawyers. And then the next thing on the bylaw thing was just that I found another bylaw idea from Orleans on a bylaw specific to nitrogen and phosphorus.
By the way, why don't you take that one? I got the other one and that one, so I don't want to accidentally take it. All right, nitrogen and phosphorus.
Yeah, cool idea, kind of neat, but it's late, so just read it at your leisure.
And this kind of ties into the geosyntech report, kind of
Right.
like to the to-do list.
And whether or not you want to tie that into the bylaw that we're thinking of putting together, or if you want to do that, it's a separate creature. Anyway. And then we get into other news. And the only real news I have that's kind of interesting is I was talking to Dave Murray's lawyer, and he is getting the conservation restriction language updated based on the state draft I sent them, and he claims that he's going to send me the markup that he does so that I can send it directly to Amanda Vino and not do any thinking, just go straight to the source and see what legalistic challenges there might be in the language. The one major hurdle at the moment is that the new format calls for baseline documentation, whereas the original CR didn't call for that. So we need to get out and take some pictures. And Amanda would be thrilled if that was done in-house. It would be even better than having it done by other people, because it's downland. You guys know it, see it.
Sure, but baseline is kind of hard 12 years into the project.
Right, it just starts over because you can't backdate the CR. And so in a manner of speaking, if we go out there today, do the baseline documentation, it's signed in the future, everything starts from here, because the gap, if you will, is the town's fault, not the applicant's fault. Because,
Sure.
So it never was put in anyway, and so the baseline is whatever. Anyway.
That sounds great. Anything to close it out in a way that makes natural heritage happy.
Bingo. So put that in your craw. The calendaring is already kind of full, but I can go out and do it, I suppose. But if anybody else wants to come with or have a say, or
well, it might even be something to do after a Saturday walk or something, because a couple of us were on some of the original walks. I know you were.
Yeah, I'm totally unfamiliar with the area.
She's going. Yeah. So it's a piece of cake. Okay, that's very exciting.
Cool. So that's the only real news. Everything else is just small talk. The other bylaw idea I had, I sent this idea to Jess just in excitement, but the new community and economic development guy is very fond of transect zoning. You guys familiar with that?
What is it?
So transect zoning is essentially like taking your downtown village core and saying, this is downtown village core, this is zone 6. And so, that's your urban area. And then you go out to the next ring, and that's zone 5, and that's slightly less developed and slightly less dense. And there's concentric circles. So your zoning isn't done in these like Lego shapes. It's done in
gerrymandering.
Yeah. It's done with core New England village idea in mind, going out to where people live, going out to where people farm, going out to where the forests are. And so he wants to bring that idea into the master planning process. And that gave me the idea that perhaps we could do something similar in the bylaw where, so Takashi, the whole thing with could we go over 200 feet? I also sent around, the town of Tewksbury did a 113-page report on buffers. and did like a hardcore lit review. And, depending on what you're buffering for, it really is, like chemistry is a 100-foot buffer, plants is a 200-foot buffer, wildlife is like a 600-foot buffer, all those sorts of ideas. And with the transect zoning concept and perhaps these resource-specific or target-specific buffer ideas, maybe the bylaw could be written to say, you know what, the Concom may have jurisdiction up to 600 feet, specifics to be put into the regulations. And then because town meeting has veto power over regulations, there could be actual discussions about where and how beyond state minimum bylaw buffers could be utilized. And if there's overstepping, but anyway, that kind of back and forth. I just don't know if you can actually do that in a reg as opposed to in the bylaw. So, anyway, now I'm done.
Well, that's a tough one too, because that's, as soon as you, I don't know, in order for it to have teeth, it almost has to be by law.
Well,
because you're talking about stepping so far outside of the state requirements.
Well, and that's the game, and that's like, you're right, I don't know. And when Eugene's in, that would be a good question for him.
The difficulty is if you go too far outside, if you go too ambitious though, in a bylaw, that's good. Toss out the baby with bathwater.
Right, makes it hard to get it passed. Oh, I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
There has to be like a really great like scientific rationale for, a certain area to be.
Right.
Bonnie,
What?
science does not matter to everybody.
Well, it should.
Right, and like, in the mayor speaking.
It's very sweet that you think that. And
It's just facts.
Well, then what are we doing here then?
Yeah, really.
Talk about the world.
Bringing it up. Just bringing it up. All right, so.
Let's just pull in everything.
Did you have any other quick comments? Okay. So, today is the 12th. It turns out that the planning board of the Littleton town of Littleton is having a public hearing tonight, or probably did already, on the Aquifer and Water Resource District Special Permit Master Plan Development Special Permit for 53 Ayer Road. So, application of special permits pursuant to Chapter 40A, Littleton zoning, master plan, development, special permit sections, blah, blah, blah. Property location 53 Ayer Road, 5K LLC, to allow renovation of a portion of an existing site at 53 Ayer Road to accommodate two additional tenants. One is an iron powder manufacturing company, and the other tenant is to be determined. And the iron powder manufacturing company would include use and storage of hazardous materials. Okay, so that was tonight. We missed it.
Right, but information is aquifers and water, and now we're putting in industrial iron manufacturing, FYI.
In the area where they get water and we get water.
Right. Seems like a thing
See,
worth
the
knowing.
science doesn't matter to anybody.
Why?
See, get it now?
Why?
Because it's cheap to rent there.
Isn't iron an essential?
Yeah.
Why don't they
I guess
just
it depends on
get
what
it
they're
out of
doing
the-
to.
suck
what
it
they're
right
doing
out of the
with it.
ground?
All right. Do you have any comments?
Chelate it out of the
No, no,
water.
no, no.
Everybody quiet?
I got an email from somebody on Flanagan Pond saying, hey, you guys put the boards in because the pond level's starting to go down. Occurred to me, remember the DPW took out the boards, or had
Yep.
the fire department take out the
Yeah.
boards? So we have to actually tell them, put them back in, I think. So I would be happy to send an email tomorrow with the commission's permission.
To the fire chief?
Fire chief saying.
It's all you.
Okay, I shall do that. That's all.
Tell the chief we said hi.
Yeah.
Sir? Sir? Miss Tillotson?
Did you get that letter I sent you? I wrote to Keolis?
I got it, didn't read it.
Okay. It was just, spare time, like, I should write a letter. Just short and sweet, maybe we can do something, but maybe not.
You're right back to that whole science matters to everybody thought.
I know.
The principle is there. The principle is there.
But if, you know what, my agenda is that if everybody speaks up and then something might get done,
You're right.
Voices, loud voices, or
Right, you
maybe
just have
soft
to get.
voices
You have to get a little more oil
More
and
loud
flour
voices.
and perfume in your voice to get it past all the bullshit detectors.
I don't know, I think oil is low, and we're a family show. All right, I would accept a motion to,
We need, this,
Oh
That
no,
was
that's
way the
just
heck off to the
that's
side.
last week. He
Oh.
didn't see it.
did we approve it?
Nope.
Was it?
Well, then let's approve it and go from there.
Because we didn't have property owner permission or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, but now we know, right?
Now we
Starsky?
know. Yep.
This is for a flexible pond lever. Oh, by the way, interestingly enough, on his website, he does stuff with the town of Billerica, and there's a wetland behind my office with one of their flexible levelers out there right now, operating as we speak.
Any beavers trapped in there?
Not a one. Not a one. Well, skeleton. Flexible pond leveler for $1,380. Pipe extension $430. Optional annual maintenance agreement $275, which I think we all agree has worked. Maintenance plan discount $175, so it's only $100 for an annual service. Optional permit service cost is $250, but he doesn't charge us at all. And optional deduction for town supplied pipe. Wait, did we offer to supply the pipe?
No, he offered to let us go find it. We don't have any.
All right, I hate when that happens because that means that then the math is wrong. Right? So, 1380, 430, 275, less 175. Oh, I hate that this isn't reverse notation. So I have an old Hewlett Packard calculator that I love very much, but no other calculator works that way.
Okay, so this also means I'm going to put the kibosh on the Board of Health thing that I got that ball rolling, and I'll stop it.
Well, and if I turn this one, I can make the thing and flips and it turns, but it's still not scientific notation.
This is RPN.
Is it?
Yeah.
Love that. It's $1,910. Going once? Going twice?
So moved.
Okay, so.
What are you looking at me for? I'm just sitting next.
A couple of months ago, in the middle of the winter, I walked the area where that nice lady who came to visit us was off of Mechanic Street Extension. Non-equacious brook.
Yeah, I know what's in there, but, so,
It's the leveler, the pipe, and the maintenance agreement, less a discount of $175 for being swell people. It's $1,910 for one. Which incidentally, hold on a minute, incidentally, damn it. Incidentally, we have $4,862 left. How can that be true? Oh, right, because the other ones were done the other year. We have $4,862 left from the Article 10 Beaver Control from 2007 town meeting.
okay, that's all good. What were you gonna say about?
When?
Board of Health.
Oh, yeah, the whole emergency declaration thing. We were talking about it last meeting, and we were talking about process and how to make things happen, and the proper permit order of operations. And you guys had said, well, we should probably get the Board of Health thing going just in case we need it, and we don't really know the property owner yet, and all this other, and so that started. And
No, that's right.
yeah,
Because it says in here, Board of Health and Conservation Commission emergency beaver permits will be obtained by the client.
right, and so
Yeah, so that's what, okay,
right, and so
so that's included in what?
He's saying that it would be $250, but there's no charge for it. There's no charge for it because we're doing it. Which you said you got started?
right, and so what I'm assuming, because we have landowner permission and we have an active right-of-way, that we don't need an emergency declaration.
Oh, nay, nay.
Nay, nay.
We're gonna do the work on the beaver dam.
Right.
We have to have Board of Health.
Well, we don't need an emergency declaration though.
But you still need an eventual Board of Health thing, right?
I remember that we did Board of Health.
Because I thought the Bureau of Health just did the emergency thing, and then the Concom did its own series of permits that if things weren't moving fast enough, or the landowner was being that's what the emergency is for.
Right.
And we're not in an emergency situation where like anything's imminent, and by paying this bill we could have it done in the next week or two, or whatever. So the need for the emergency declaration has been relieved.
But we still need to permit it.
From the Board of Health. Right?
No, we need to permit.
Well, we need to permit.
Right.
but-
You want me to just double check with Board of Health and make sure they don't need to do something else?
That would be
All
smart.
right.
Make sure there's something that, and if they say, so I wouldn't be surprised if they said, well, you can follow the normal process, but it's this, or we have this shiny emergency declaration, which we can use in this particular case. All right. So I would entertain a motion. Pay Beaver Solutions $1,910 for their proposal for a flexible pond leveler to be used on non-Aquatius Brook at the end of Mechanic Street Extension over by the fire department.
So moved.
Are you holding back a second or even a movement? Actually, a motion?
Second for discussion.
Please discuss.
Are we paying them before they do the work?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good point.
Huh.
That's a proposal. not
No,
an
that's a
invoice.
very good point. Right? He doesn't have anything on here for, he doesn't have anything on here to state. So
Somebody
why don't
kept their act together. The rest of us all faded away. All of this burnout.
Why don't we change the motion to approve the proposal and notify Beaver Solutions that we're interested in said flexible pond leveler in non-Aquatius Brook for $1,910.
So moved.
Second.
George in the clinch with the Hail Mary catch.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So, on that, we have to do an RDA on that then, right?
Yes, we do.
Do we do the RDA?
I thought we did the ones on the last ones.
Or we have to do an RDA?
It was very simple. I believe the last RDA, we filled it out. That was the
I
extent
just
of
sent
it.
you the whole board of, I just sent you this.
I could do the form work if you want me to turn that in to Brian.
If you have time to do that, that would be wonderful. Okay, it has been an exhausting month, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.